Apologies. If you've just joined us, well, the program is Come, Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. 8:15 in the United Kingdom. 8:15 in the United Kingdom. Um, Habiba, I don't know if you are there because I'm trying to get into the streaming line and it doesn't seem to be let. Oh, right. Yes. Right. We are good. Okay. Yes, 16 minutes past 8 o'clock in the United Kingdom. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, wherever you are. This is Come, Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. Your global community conversation where every topic is up for discussion. Of course, the only difference is we do it decently. So every topic is and can be discussed. The only difference is here, we won't have foul language and we try to remain as decent as possible, having conversations on matters that really matter to you. On this Tuesday, the 7th of May, 2024, we are talking about workers. What do workers really want? Those who have just joined us, you'll find that I was just talking about, I discussed, or I raised a little bit the issue of workers who came into our families, who came into our lives. I was raised by, a lady who came as Margaret. Now she ended up being Farida. She arrived when I was 3 years old, and she's still in the family, alhamdulillah. So I'm 50, going 51. So for 47 years in a row, she was part of the family. Now she's left to sort of live her own life, but she's still family. A person who can devote such lengthy time onto your life is hard to find. Many of us, of course, either if you are in the cities, you are in Kampala, you are in Nairobi, you are in Abuja, you are in Harare, you are in Johannesburg or Cape Town or Pretoria. Wherever you are, you may have a side hustle. You have a business, probably you're doing a 9 to 5 where you're getting paid, but then on the side of that, you're also doing your chicken project there. And Issa Makubi, I can see your hand is up. I'll come to you. I hope, I don't know if it's an issue with the voice or technicalities. If not, then yes, I'll come to you once I'm done with the introduction. So we have people that we have assigned our responsibilities to do our duties on our behalf in our absence. Many people might have, well, been frustrated. Some might have been successful. It would be good to hear how you have managed to do it on your side. Is it about paying good salaries? Because I've had a household who is also almost turning into family. I think he joined us about 2017, 2016. He's been there 2024. He is now. I've had a driver who is kind of also my overall eyes over projects since 2006. So this is nearly, nearly 20 years that we have existed together. And the question then is, how do you do it? How comes you can bring in things like motivation in terms of salary or facilitate a person in a way that allows them to sort of live a happy life around you? While it works on some, why is it that it doesn't work on others? I got workers and I gave them 2 acres of land. I said, you have these 2 acres of land, grow on whatever you want. Prepare the land. I will even give you the seedlings of what you want, whether maize or beans. I will buy these seeds. As a motivation to sort of say, you are doing my work. I want to make sure my work is done well. But as part of the motivation, have this land that you can also put your energies and therefore you can sell. An acre of maize, for example, under good management would easily give you up to 25 bags. This is about 2.5 tons if you're considering that, a bag is 100 kilos. So to imagine a person getting about, let us say really round it off, probably getting 2.5 tons might be too much to expect. Let us put it at 15 or even 17. So 1.7 tons of maize. Price of maize now being a kilo at 750. Do the maths. times 1,700 kilos. And you see how much money would be available to these workers on top of their income. I was speaking to a friend about 2 days ago. He was in tears. He's in the United States of America, but excuse me, this is Panama. He comes from the same, we grew up in the same village. He was a man, we grew up together. And they got a worker who was looking after their livestock. They gave him what you would say. I mean, he was supposed to look after the cows, so the milking process, the vaccination, the treatment, and so on. And they assigned him 5 liters of milk every day. 5 liters of milk every day. And even if you consider that this person was drinking too much milk, it was him, his wife, and a daughter. Let us assume everyone has had half a liter. That puts it at 1.5 liters of milk. Out of 5 liters, he would still have 3.5 liters. I just want to do the maths because sometimes when we just speak haphazardly, someone might not get the full picture. A liter of milk in Liantonde, a liter of milk in Liantonde is about 1,500. Again, that's at the lower end. So 1,500 times 3.5 liters a day times 30 days, that is 157,500. Emitwaro 15 mukasanvu mbitano. 157,500 money that he gets from the sale of the milk, the 3.5 liters from the milk on top of his salary. Now, honestly, this is meant to be motivation for this person. Incrementally do this times 6, you have 945,000. That would almost put it at nearly 2 million shillings that this person can make a year from milk that he's getting officially. But as if not enough, this person, after working for 7 years, starts now, well, one, beginning to try to steal more milk than he is entitled to. Two, he starts even, planning and campaigning with guys to come and steal the very cows that are supposed to give the very milk from which he's meant to get money. He's ended up losing his job, and now he's on the run with police looking for him. What is it that workers really want? How have you done it on your farm, probably, to sort of bring in difference, to get effective results coming, into your farm as a result of this? And that's the conversation I would like us to sort of have tonight, inshallah, hearing your particular experiences, because what this program does is bring your experiences, because everyone in this program is an expert. Because you come to this from your own perspective. It may be that you actually want to start a business, especially now people are getting excited about, I want to start a business back home, I want to start a business back home, but you haven't thought about this dynamic. This might be an opportunity, hearing these particular experiences, to sort of see what to expect, what to do, the do's and don'ts, and things that work in one area might not work in another. You give someone an acre of land and they make best use of it. In fact, as part of the conversation, we got even to the point of saying masaka, or would use to feed the whole of Uganda as well, especially Kampala, with matoke. How comes now the matoke has migrated to the west? And this conversation actually went deep, because most of the people, if you look at the people who had the big plantations in wood in Masaka, they had the Bapakasi. Bapakasi were almost naturally Banyankore, Bachiga, or Banyarwanda. These people came in, spent time, and then they went back to their own lands. They had gathered, they had built up the capacity, managed to buy places within their home areas. They went back, and therefore, if you don't have the labor that you used to have, definitely, and of course, the aging pattern. We spoke about the Dudubi talk and all of that, and how banana plantations died, but the same situation was happening in the West, and that hasn't happened. They, of course, brought in a new factor, which was the manure, the cow poo, the cow dung, or the goat poo as well, which now becomes very critical in establishing banana plantations. Matoke has shifted and moved from Buganda and went to the west. Something also is happening very interesting now in northern Uganda. You will be shocked very soon to see the quality, the number, the quantity of matoke that is going to start coming, especially from Gulu, from Amuru, those particular areas, from Lira. The land is very fertile. It had never been put to serious matoke plantation. People have seen the money that is in matoke. The level of production now, people are also rearing the animals. They've got pigs, they've got goats, they've got cows, and they are using the manure now into their banana plantations, and something is seriously happening. So I would like us now tonight to hear your particular experiences, just in terms of how many years have you had your workers, what has worked. On one hand, I've been successful that I've had one person for nearly 20 years. I've had another for coming to nearly 8, 10 years. But then in between, I've lost so many. And yet, the kind of motivations or facilitations have nearly been the same. So sometimes you give someone land to say, grow something, and they think you are silly. I would like to hear your experiences. The program is Come, Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira, and we are live on 75W Radio, live on Ummah Connected, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom. Haji Samakumbi, your hand was first up, and I think therefore it's only fair that I should come to you and hear your particular experiences regarding this issue. What do workers want? Engineer Makumbi?
Hello.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you today, sir?
This fine. How about you?
Alhamdulillah. Are you in Uganda or in UK?
I'm in Uganda.
Oh, great. Okay. So hope to see you soon, inshallah.
Yeah.
Yes. What has been your experience?
That is a very interesting. This is a very interesting topic. Yes. Our fathers, our grandfathers had workers who were stable, constant, loving the work, what they are doing. But the workers of Uganda today, they have got no morals at all. Everybody is complaining about their behavior. You do everything. I've got workers there, they've got free accommodation, free food, give them work, give them bonus on top of their wages, have medical bills paid by me. But you can wake up in the morning, check their house, found that all of them have gone, disappeared, even without saying that we are leaving. Here, I think the Middle East factor has really kicked in hard and has really destabilized our workforce. Everybody in this place is hoping to go to Middle East. If at all given any opportunity, you drop whatever is doing, you jump on the next plane to go into slavery. That's a belief that they can make money there, come back, very rich, and lead a very luxurious life. So our work is not regarded as work. It's just a part-time job. Anytime they can put down the tools down and then they disappear. I can give you an instant. 2 months ago, I had a security guard who have done everything, whatever his demands is to do, to give in whatever he wants. I had a meeting with him. We discussed how work is going to do, what should do, how we should be carrying out the work. Within 30 minutes, someone had given me the keys back that the man has gone. I said, it surprised me, the person I was talking to 20 minutes ago, to go in his boat, give the key to someone, then disappears. So perhaps might have had a phone call that has got a job somewhere else.
Is it better pay or is it better pay or?
Because I never engaged with him, he just disappeared.
Yes.
Put the tools down, then it disappeared. I had an incident whereby I had.
Mr. Issa, speaking about that, there are some people who are experts in kupechura abakozi b'abanaabo. People who are very good at stealing other people's workers. So they will come to your place, they look at your worker, how they are working so hard. In the meantime, they just go to the side and pretend to be asking questions about work. And the person is making an offer, sometimes even sharing, can I share your number? And then the next thing is, you don't know, you lose the person. There are people who are almost experienced in that. To this person where he went, you ask, is it a person,
I think
someone who is familiar at all?
I've got no clue where it's gone, just disappeared in the thin air.
Right. Okay.
And I had one of my managers who was this place who was working in charge of running the system, running the B&B.
The Airbnb.
Trained him hard,
Mm-hmm.
took him through everything, proper training, went abroad. I was there for 6 months. When I came back, he wasn't happy to see me back. I talked to him. I saw him washing everything, clearing everything. Sunday morning, I wake up in the morning, had disappeared.
He's been kind. He was even kind enough to at least wait until you return, because you can imagine if you had returned and he had left.
And she said that guy annually was making about 4 million.
Wow.
That was his wage. Someone who's a little could rate,
Yes.
but that was the range of the man that was getting, plus the bonus.
Mm-hmm.
You give them free time. When if it's a holiday, you pay them double. Try to be like the British, but the workforce in Uganda has gone down. People don't want to work.
President Museveni, despite all the criticism against him, I think he's sort of said he's lately, I think it is bothering him a lot. He went to Nairobi in this conference and he spoke.
I think the culture of casual labor.
Yes. No, he spoke about
the
Uganda,
behavior that they
Ugandans
want
and how lazy they
are. That has brought a big problem as well.
Which one?
For us.
Casual labor.
Yeah, if you don't pay them daily, they'll
Yes.
they just disappear. They're not interested in long-term contract.
They
No, it's
want
not in their vocabulary.
They want a Kabwira.
So I fit for those who are abroad who think that they're going to do business this place. It will be extremely very difficult to manage the workforce in this place.
So what sort of lessons have you learned, given the fact that you've done what you thought you could do? What
For me, the lesson I've learned that
taking? Huh?
Whenever I go, I keep my keys around. I don't trust them anymore. If I'm out of my house, I lock it. Only leave the areas, the communal areas where they are, because you never trust them. But if you're abroad, it makes it very worse.
Yeah. Because
you can't run the place when they're here. You can train, motivate them, do everything possible for them. They won't stick behind. It's them who turns into you. It's them who are your masters. So that's how the life they are leading in this place.
Thank you.
There's high rate of unemployment, yes. But that's the culture we've
there's a high rate of unemployable people as well, because that's the one thing that you have to put in.
For me, I've come to believe that there's full employment, but there's a lot of employment, but they are not takers.
Thank you very much, Issa Makumbi. Thank you. Okay, let me bring in Esu Foods. Esu Foods will come to you again as we open up the conversation further. Esu Foods, Uganda. Esu Foods, go ahead, please. Hello, Esu Foods.
Yes, hello.
Hello, yes, your names, please.
My name is Oshaklon Eskayam.
Oshaklon.
Yes, Eskaya is my name, and I think it's my first time interacting with you.
Oh, no, thank you very much. I think you got this from Facebook or from one of the groups that we belong
to? WhatsApp, your WhatsApp status.
WhatsApp group. Okay, fantastic. Welcome to the conversation. You do, I see Esu Foods. What does Esu Foods deal in?
What I do? Okay, Esu Foods, I derived the name from, Esu comes from Esukaya.
Yes.
So after, when I joined campus, I had to begin a company, and my interest has always been in farming, right from when I was in primary 5.
Yes.
So in 2019, I joined campus, and I thought I should be able to do something related to what I'm learning, but also be able to visit other farmers and see what they're doing and maybe help them in one way or another. Yes. So I had to come up with a company to make it more legitimate.
Yes.
And I've been able to visit so many farms. On average, I visit about 100 farms every year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I've learned a lot of things. Then I also realized something, that apart from just teaching farmers what they should do, it is impossible to tell someone that, hey, if you do this, you'll become rich. when yourself you're not doing it. It makes you be like a witch doctor
Yes.
or a scammer.
Yes.
So in 2020, I began farming. Previously, I was farming at university land. I was in Bustema
Oh.
University, Arapaika,
Yes.
Soroti,
Mhm.
where I did Bachelor of Agribusiness. So I used to farm, but then I had to take that COVID period. I took a break. I signed up for Dedia and I established my own farm
Where?
in
Still
Soroti.
in Buseta, oh, in Soroti.
In Soroti. Then
Yes.
I got, after 1 year, I got some more space in Blambuli.
Mhm.
Then after another year, in 2022, I got more space in Gulu. But if you talk of the challenges that I have faced, I think I've experienced it. You know, it's possible to visit a farm
Yes.
and you ask, why is this person not producing this much? They're having these abilities, they have all this land, they have the money. Why are they not making profits? Or why are they not using all the land they have?
Yes.
It goes back to farm workers,
Labor.
and it's the biggest. Labor is the
Mhm.
biggest challenge most farmers face.
What has been your
But
experience?
my land in Gulu, I actually put it up for sale, and I think I should be done with selling it by end of this month,
Yeah.
because you can have the money, you want people to come and work for you, the work is there to be done, very easy work you can manage to do, but because you can't do the same work maybe on 10 acres, and you bring guys to work, when they get money for drinking, that's the end of it. Tomorrow they won't appear. Now, me, I'm more into horticulture. I do melons, tomatoes, mainly vegetables,
Yes.
which sometimes require a lot of labor.
Yes.
So you find that at planting stage, it is easy to plant. When it comes to harvesting tomatoes, I need like maybe 20 workers averagely every day to do the harvesting. And then you are alone with maybe your 4 workers who are permanent workers. So you end up losing a lot of produce in the garden.
Yes.
So, and that is, I think, the nature of most of the workers within the north.
When I bought,
And that,
when I bought in Kiriandongo, I went with this mindset. I'm saying I'm coming to the community. I'm so passionate. I'm coming to help the people in the local area by providing employment. You know, you come with all these big dreams, and then I get there. I start employing. To tell you that now, of all my workers, there is nobody that is local, simply because I was frustrated. The theft happens, you know, from the local guys because they know everyone local. During COVID, which you mentioned, I was locked up here in the UK, unable to move. Workers, unsurprisingly, their salaries continued to go despite the fact that I was, you know, we were in this lockdown situation. They went, brought a pickup to the farm, loaded 49 Boer goats. 49, that is 15 million shillings worth. They loaded these goats, went and sold them, despite the lockdown situation that was on, because in Uganda, they would just lock down and then open up and then open and lock down. And then they get the rest of the animals that are left, they lock them in the kraal, and then they move away from the farm. Neighbors hear the goats, they haven't seen them grazing because this is open grazing. They see the land is big. The goats are making these sounds of desperation. My neighbors got to a point where they were trying to call me and they couldn't. Well, of course, it's villagers now to think about calling Buraya is too expensive. One guy just said, this can't happen to Haji. Whatever happens, we will deal with whatever the repercussions. They went into the farm, broke the padlock, opened for the goats. I lost a 2 million worth goat, a he goat that had come in that was doing, you know, the crossbreeding. Looking at that goat almost gave me a heart attack. I cried, I sat down. The moment they opened a little bit, I was on the next flight with all the expenses that were involved. You had to do a COVID PCR test here. You have to do negative. Get to Entebbe, you have to do another PCR. You are supposed to be taken into quarantine. I had to bribe my way to sort of avoid that and be able to get to the farm. Getting to the farm and seeing this goat, just looking at it like this, it was almost like waiting for me to arrive, because I got there, looked at it, it dropped dead. I held my hands, I held my head in my hands, and I sat down. I said, God, you gave me this. I am not giving up. I started, sort of started feeding the goats. I bought some silage from elsewhere. It was brought in 2 weeks, and the animals, started regaining a bit of life. Surprise, surprise, nearly two-thirds of all the animals that were left were pregnant. And therefore, we managed to save them in time. And therefore, the numbers doubled immediately while I was there. Frustration with workers, you've paid, and someone is not even ashamed, to get you into that situation. Esuke, what would you say has been the lesson for you now? You've been forced to sell your land in Gulu. That's a painful one, considering now everyone is running to Gulu with all the fertility that is there.
As you run towards the north, or as you move to any place to start a farm, you should be able to have at least a source of workers, reliable workers. But if you're going to look at the community where say, I'm buying land in this place, I'm going to get workers from within, it is nearly impossible, mostly for the north,
Well, I've
because
learned.
they have been in this issue of the wars. Most of them, the ones who are 30 years and above, they have been in the war period, and they are used to receiving a lot of free handouts from NGOs and governments.
Mhm.
So another will tell you that, oh, I'm sorry, but for us, we don't work. We just burn shackle and we get the money. We can't do that hard work. They're not used to anything that makes them sweat, that they have
No,
to do it every day.
that
They want to
happened to
do
me because their work day actually starts at 7 o'clock, and then by 12 o'clock they are on their way out. In between, there has to be a break for porridge, and then by 12 o'clock they have finished their day, and they want to be paid on the day, 7,000 for the day, so that they can just go and drink. Very, very, I mean, it's very frustrating. You're used to a day that starts to 5 o'clock. Someone cuts off 4 hours and just decides to end their day there. Esu
So
Foods, yes.
one thing I learned from a Kenyan friend, I've visited so many farmers in Kenya,
Yes.
but there's a lady who her farm is called Limitless Fresh Farms. You might check on Facebook.
Mhm.
I visited her and I learned something. Workers there work between 7 up to 6 p.m. every day. She provides breakfast and lunch.
Yes.
So what yes, she pays them well, 10,000 Kenyan shillings. That's about 300,000 Ugandan shillings. But then the whole thing is we don't have the what? We Ugandans don't have that morale or the motive or the attitude to work for some other person to make someone else rich. So the lesson I learned from her is, as you hire today, prepare to fire tomorrow, and as you're preparing to fire tomorrow, you're brought in the new ones today. Have at least 3 extras who are waiting to be hired. Like I bring in a set of new workers today, I
Yes.
should be looking for others. As long as these ones don't perform as I want them, I let these ones go out. You fire like all of them. You don't keep one. You send all of them. Then you bring in the new workers. You tell them what has to be done, and then if they don't perform, also you let them all go. Why you must send out all of them is because if you keep only one, we'll be having a bad habit, and we tell the other ones that as you always work up to 10. So you have come here with too much energy. You think you will manage. This guy does not pay on time. This guy doesn't do this. He doesn't feed. He won't do anything for you. So what? So better you send all of them away. Then you bring in others with a new spirit. That's the only way you can manage.
Fantastic.
And then, as
Yes.
much as possible,
Mhm.
keep away from your own relatives. If not your wife or your son or your daughter, keep away from the others out of your farming business. Might be a brother, might be any other person, but they don't have the same interest as you or your spouse or your child would have for the business. You know, your wife will say, this is my business. This is my husband's business. If anything happens, we are all losing. Your son, daughter will say, this is my father's business. If anything happens, I'm then going to lose. Maybe my inheritance or my share of it. But your brother will say, my wife needs a new cloth. My wife needs us to build another house. My wife needs a business. And this brother of mine is in the UK. How will he know? He can't deny me. I'm his own brother. If I only sell two boas, I think I would have bought a motorcycle. He will sell it and give you an excuse. This has happened. The goat has been stolen. Then you look at the cost of coming from UK up to come back to Uganda to come and get maybe a police dog to look for the thief. Better you buy a new what? A new goat. So your brother will just take advantage of that. So as much as possible, stay away from relatives because you can't fire your brother in case he does a mistake. You can't fire him. You can't take him to police. You take him to police, his children are going to be crying, and maybe he's imprisoned because he's found guilty. He'll be imprisoned. You look at your your brother's children, they're like your children. Then again, you say, please, you release him. He's my own brother.
So the
And that's
lesson
how
is
you
lesson is
coming dream.
to avoid having relatives other than your wife and children.
Yes, as much as possible. Even
Thank you
just
very
coming
much,
to drink and
Esukaya.
see the
First
one.
time and yet fantastic presentation. I think there are lessons there. Some people may agree or disagree. Remember, we are not only talking about farm workers. It might be a maid or house help at home, or house administrators, home administrators, as we sometimes call them. It might be someone running a shop. My cousin brother has had a worker who was very well trusted for nearly 15, 16 years running the business in Chikubo. The brother lives in UK. Very trusted man. He would just go 15 million take to the bank, 15 million take here. This time around, he goes and picks 40 million and disappears. Ends up in South Sudan, where unfortunately he even lost the entire money and was almost killed. Message from the chat room, good submission and interesting. Esu Foods Uganda, that's from Hasfa Kasuja in the chat room. Remember, you can always drop in a message in the chat room and we will read it as part of our conversation. If you have just joined us, the program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. We are live on 75 W Radio, live on Umma Connected, and we are live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom. Of course, we are now continuing to hear your experiences, very interesting experiences, submissions from the two first speakers. Why don't we cross and go to the United States of America? Humaira Fatuma, I come to you. Welcome to the conversation. First time on the show as well. Lots of first timers tonight. I think this particular topic has sort of touched many people. Humaira, are you there? Are you free to speak to us? You can unmute yourself, please. And you're one of those people, again, who was running business remotely from the US, but running a business which is actually proving to be a successful business back home. Humaira, are you there? Are you able to speak or you still? Okay.
Assalamualaikum. Yes,
Walaikum
I
salam.
am, but I'm driving and I'm arriving where I'm going in about 5 minutes. So
5
give
minutes.
me
Okay.
some time so
Please
somebody else can
give
take
us a
over.
hand once you arrive and then we'll come to you.
Yes,
Good to know
please.
you are listening in. Thank you very much. We'll come to you in those 5 minutes, inshallah. Ezra Lukoya, I can see you are on, but I'm wondering whether you are able to hear us, but your microphone is not on, in which case I cannot come to you. So in the meantime, I'll just go. Oh, Lil, you were here very, very early and would be good. Last week, we didn't get to hear from you. I hope we can hear from you tonight. Lil or Lil has signed in. Hello. Walaikum salam. Allah Akbar. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Yes, well, we are talking about workers and what they do want. I hope you will have an experience to share.
Yeah, I've not started yet. I'm planning to start, but I've got a house back home. It's not for rent or anything. It's just mine whenever I go and rest.
Mhm.
So I had this caretaker. I think I had him for 7 years. We started off nice. He was doing well. I was giving him 300,000 because he wasn't doing anything, just to keep the house, make
Looking
sure
after the house, yes.
yes, dusting it, telling me the bulb has blown, we need another bulb, things like that.
Yes.
And then on top of that, I was buying him food
Mhm.
and I was paying school fees for two of his children.
Mhm.
Things were going all right. Then he turned it into, what should I call it? A lodge, Airbnb. He would rent, yes, he would rent it out without my knowledge. Because the area was still developing and there were so many people building around. So those builders who
So the
used to
builders
come
will
from
have somewhere to sleep. Yes, yes.
yes.
Mhm.
And then I would find the walls dirty.
Mm.
And I ask, I don't have people who come here to stay in the house. Why are fingers everywhere? The walls are dirty. The mirrors are broken. The closets, the doors are falling out. What's going on? I don't know. I don't know because I clean. Then one of my neighbors asked me, "Do you rent out your house?" I said, "What do you mean?" "I don't rent out my house. It's just there for me to whenever I want to go home." "Oh, but we've been seeing unknown people. We are worried. And the LC chairman wanted to speak to you." I was surprised. When I asked the man, he denied. He said, "Don't listen to those people." But it got to a point I said, "No, enough is enough." And I got rid of him. So I don't know what our people want. Because sometimes he would bring his whole family and they occupy the house.
Yes.
And then you find the mattresses stained. And you ask, I don't get people here. How do things get spoiled? So it's really difficult. And I've got another one. He's also starting the same thing. I'm thinking of selling the house and maybe do something
How
else.
often do you go, Lil?
I go every year, once a year, and spend a month or a month and a half.
Right. So effectively, this person owns the house, if you think about it, because you're there
Exactly.
for 11 months. This is the
Yes.
person the ones who understand the and everything.
So,
It's a very painful thing, and especially, many of us, when you go abroad, the first thing you're fighting is to get a house quickly because that's how you are rated once you come back, just in case stuff happens and then they say, "Yagende wealthy as well,
kaina.
and you build a house and you can't just build a cheap house because again, it has to be able to fit, your standards and the
Exactly.
kind of lifestyle that you live. But then you end up being there only 1 month, maximum 1.5 months, and the rest of the time, it is someone else who is enjoying the benefits of that. So what are you going to do now? Since, because selling the house, I wouldn't really advise you to, because that means you're going to start having to live with relatives or book into a hotel when you go.
I'll be going straight to the village.
Has the place developed now?
It is, yes.
So why don't you turn it into an Airbnb? Because if it's an Airbnb, at least the place is kept occupied. You handle it online, which means you're the ones who handles the bookings. And by those bookings, you see people are actually making a lot of money. And there are people in Uganda now who are taking on like people's houses. I can get you in touch with a lady who is very, very good. She will find, like people for you for a house in any circumstance and for good money as well. So instead of taking in tenants who might waste the house, or actually probably if push came to shove, it may be that you can actually just put in tenants and then at least monthly they are going to put some money. Every 6 months you do repairs because if they are Sudanese, they will pay good money, but they might even bury their dead
Exactly.
into the house. So
I've tried
how to
everything.
make I beg your pardon?
I've tried everything. I furnished it and turned it into a holiday home.
Yes.
And the workers were not cleaning the house up to standard. So the guests would complain. And I've shown them, you do this, you dust, you cobweb, this, that. They would not do things the way I want them to be
No,
done.
something is happening in Uganda that is interesting. Hajat Sarah's hand is up. I'll come to Hajat Sarah maybe she has something to advise on. I'll come to you shortly, Hajat. But I
I
was just
got,
about to say that what people have done now is lots of services now are being done by people outside. So it may be that the way out for you might actually be to get a cleaning company that is independent, so that you just have the person who looks after the place. It may make a lot of sense if they are good cooks, because like the person I have in my house he came in, very willing to learn, but he's also a good cook. So I actually trained him further into, like cooking that would be up to international standards. What that does is this person, at least if the cleaning is going to be difficult, then you have a company that will come and, because this is a business, and therefore you are, you are giving, you're giving no excuse. At least the place is up to standard. This person is only going to handle food. With Airbnbs, oftentimes you might even find that some people are fine to sort of cook for themselves, which is even better. So this person is only going to handle the idea, the aspect of getting that food for these people and availing it, cleaning it, and making sure it's there. But the cleanup can be once these guests have left, in readiness for the next guest. Because quite often, all you do, this person now can handle just the basic cleaning. And once the guests go out, you have this team coming in and doing a deep clean. Then it readies the house for another guest, which I think would make sense in a lot of ways.
I tried the monthly tenant.
Yes.
That one would bring the sigiri in the house.
on your
Oh
tiles.
my God. Yes.
Yes, okay. Oh,
And then the children were getting nails and scratching the walls, scratching the doors, writing. It's terrible.
You must be a very picky, clean person from your descriptions, because the descriptions that you give are sort of very normal in some of our cabanas.
Yeah, so that's my experience.
All right, thank
And
you. Yes. And what do you think is the way forward then?
I don't know. I had tried everything. I was just given up.
Yes.
Because I'm paying this person and yet he's not doing the job. And my children are here. I'm here. I don't know.
Right.
I don't
Okay,
know.
no problem, inshallah. I think we can have a conversation off the back of this. There might be particular options. There are all options that are coming up, and people are sort of thinking about creative ways. Because actually, there are people now who are getting better at it. I know, like here in Newcastle, we've got people who just go and rent houses, and then they put them up for Airbnb, but when they've rented them. So you get a person who is responsible. They literally run everything, and all you're doing is you're just seeing your money, coming to you without the pain and struggle. But it has to be someone who is, decent and knows what they are doing. So we might have a conversation off the back of this, probably on the possibilities. It's my wife who knows, who can get you in touch with this person, and then we can push it further. And once
That would be great.
I can help you, and then we sort of take it up from there. Where is the house located?
In Chariwajala.
Oh, that's even now, like hot cake to imagine. I cannot believe that. But yes, definitely, I think that's food for thought. Thanks very much, Neil. And Hajat Sarah, now I come to you for sharing that. Hajat Sarah says nothing to advise. Okay, could you please share the lady's number who manages the B&Bs? Yes, inshallah. Not here. I think we can take it up, and we discuss that. Namkwaya Amina, I think in Saudi Arabia, says things which make workers fail to do their work well is because of our bosses. Aha, this is now from a worker's perspective, because we're looking as bosses only, but there's the worker perspective. It's because of our bosses. I might have a spirit and love my work, but our bosses who don't fulfill our needs make us do work the way we want. No gratitude also makes workers lose morale. Thanks. Sorry, please. These words lighten workers' spirit. Workers tend to bring their stress into their workplace and do as they want. Like, after all, this isn't my business, not my money, and I don't care about the losses. After all, I'm going to be paid no matter what. Well, you can wish that you'll be paid no matter what. If there's no money to pay, then definitely you suddenly realize you can't be paid. Some bosses give workers more authority, making them feel you can do anything you want. I think that's part of the problem. But sometimes you think you are trying to empower someone, but in the process, of course, you spoil the person by giving them, options. There's a time I actually came up with a formula where I said, we are going to work in this place, we are planting this, and we are going to share the produce. You know, I'm providing the seeds, I've provided the money for the seeds and all of that. Your salaries are continuing, but once we get our produce, I'm taking my 70%, you are taking 30%. It works for some, it doesn't work for others. Again, the dynamics are, what can you do that would be so right, that would get people, you know, to the exact point? They are very comfortable and beautiful conversation here. It's okay to befriend a worker, but if you make your worker very close, he'll stop fearing you. Good cleaning workers are girls from Saudi because we clean even something clean already. The repetition. I mean, I think I wish you are in a position to speak. Let me know if you're in a position to speak. I would like to explore that. I hear you actually clean like 3 floors. Let me know when you have a moment, inshallah. Hajjat Sarah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Interesting conversation already. I mean, from the submissions, and I'm sure you
Yeah,
are never
it
short of
is
stories.
very
So
interesting.
I'm sure you're coming in with
Yeah,
a perspective. Yes.
the reason I put my hand up, I know you always pick me, and sometimes you get me when it's really wrong, wrong timing. So I've had a window of opportunity to put in a few words. So I'm like, let me ask him to pick me so I could give him my contribution before he chooses his time, and then I won't be able to say anything.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, for me, I think people have changed. The trustworthy people of long ago are not here anymore. At least the majority of people have now changed. They're not the usual trustworthy people that used to be. Because when you did speak about your story as a young boy and the Aunt Margaret that raised you, it did resonate with me. Because me too, we grew up with many children that were not even our relatives, but some of them were from my daddy's workers and my mom's workers, who became even relatives. And they, up to today, we are still related in a way, but we can't tell that we are not really blood. Yeah, but because of the way they used to serve, the way their commitment, the way they were with us, the way we related with them was so marvelous. We've tried using our parents' techniques, but I don't think they have worked so much for us, because people have their own different interests. No matter how much you do, if they come to work with you, what they offer you, they want more than you can even give, or even everything that you have, and they want to take it away. I've had a few experiences. Yes, when during my hotel management days, things were okay. I think it was more to do with the workforce that we used to have, the kind of age we employ. The young people, their needs are not as big as people who are older. If you take an age group of like from 25 to 35, their needs are not as big as when you take up people who are in their 40s, have acquired families. Those will need more than these young ones. So my hotel times were really smooth. I even had just a problem with my husband, who used to chase employees away unrealistically or without good reasons, but they were really committed young people who wanted to work. Now, when we went into construction, when road construction, we're building we're subcontractors doing the Mbende Shegwega Road with the Murray and Hoofman Roberts construction group that had taken up the big contract. There we really met a lot of problems, because I had a husband who was poly, and we used to be hands-on, and we would go, I would drive, he would drive, we would go to Mbende Shegwega, supervise the roads, supervise our trucks, because we provided those big trucks, the graders and the big magurukumi, and all those kind of trucks that were needed. We were supplying them to those main contractors. But then when my husband was ill, we decided to get one of our mechanics, because those trucks were from South Africa. They were Nissan, those big ones. So spare parts were really difficult to get here. In Uganda, you had to get them from South Africa. But we wanted them to be in good condition, so we employed a mechanic who was so good. He was a very good elderly man we trusted. And he took advantage of knowing that my husband was unwell, because he also had a lot of mechanical knowledge. that you wouldn't just deceive him or take apart and say, oh, this needs to be repaired. Because we, being into that kind of transport business, they had done it themselves physically before they got even rich. So he knew a thing or two almost much about mechanics, and you wouldn't just deceive him. But this man took advantage, and he would take apart a lorry or those trucks and take the parts which are really okay, bring them on the pickup that we bought him, go to Chisenya and say that, oh, this was, the part is spoiled, or the car is now, the lorry is now down, we need this part. And you would give him money, and he'll bring the very parts that he took out and take them back in. In the process, the lorries were breaking down so badly that we are losing, because they were paying us hourly for every job we did. And time came they had to be packed. And then Mahoz brought in his, Major Mahoz brought in his Volvos, which are really running well, and took up the contract. And we lost it. So I'm showing you how selfish people are. Yeah.
Yes.
Even my brother, who went there to supervise on our behalf, the one who follows me, connived with the employees, and he worked with them, and they ended up all stealing, which is so sad, because he knew that I was struggling with my husband, and this is someone who loved him so much. But he worked with them and ended up running the business down. Now, that aside, I had a chicken farm myself. Was my own little business. And I brought in my nephews and cousins to look after the farm. They were jobless. But these were giving out all the eggs, or maybe selling them the way they wanted. And the chicken was also being stolen. And there was some of the workers who used to drink and go to the bar. And when they're in the bar, they would just show signs that they had chicken outside that has to be sold. They would just flap their arms like the chicken wings to call other people to come out. Because these are stories I had later on when I had fired them. And when I fired them, I noticed that there were bags of chicken, which is dead. Yeah, loads of bags in the store where I kept the feeds. And I was like, how did all this happen? How does someone load up chicken in bags like this? I don't know whether they didn't have an opportunity to take them for sale. Whatever happened, that there were like 6 sacks of chicken dead. I was rearing them for eggs. So they were selling the chicken, they were selling the eggs, and the farm went down. I couldn't get anything.
How
And
often were you there to supervise the work?
Actually, my farm, I have a storied house, and my farm was the one on the ground floor, and I was upstairs.
Did you
It
have
doesn't
enough
matter
time
whether
to
you're
do
on
this
the
for
ground.
business?
Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you're not counting chicken, which is like, I had over 1,500 birds.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you count them? How do you know the numbers? So you have to trust people who are looking after you, who are doing the business. And that one also went down. It failed. Then when we talk about the housemaid, yes, some women have been really bad. They have been really cruel to some of those housemaids. That I had a friend who lost a baby to a housemaid only because she was so rude to that woman. I can't really, this doesn't justify what the maid did.
Yes.
But it also warns others to be careful how you treat someone that you leave something so precious with. This young woman was so mistreated. She was never allowed to eat. She was always abused. She was always had her ears pulled. And then this woman would leave the baby with the woman, this girl, and go to work. So one day the girl strangled the baby and put the baby in the oven and switched on the oven and packed her stuff and left. Up to today, that gives me goosebumps. Because when the woman came back to her house, she opened the house and it was all full of smoke and that kind of scent of something burning. And she was like calling the girl, and only to go in the kitchen and find something really black coiled in the oven, to pull it out, and it was her baby. Then I had also a cousin sister who also mistreated the housemaid, She used to go to work, lock her house, and go to work. But one day, I think the girl had had it. She bought kerosene, poured it outside the bedroom because the carpet would protrude around the carpet in the hallway, and lit up the house and left. That one was caught, and Masaka, she was caught, but the other one who killed the baby was never caught.
So, Sarah, part of the conversation, you sort of mentioned, someone mentioned mistreatment of workers, and you want to treat them well, and you've mentioned it as well. What do you think would be appropriate? For example, at home, would you be able to sit on the same dining table with the maid, or in terms of building that up? Would it be appropriate?
I can't say that you really have to sit with them, but when you treat a maid, treat them like their own child. At least even look at the workload you give them. Be sensitive to how you treat them. Maybe sitting with them on the dining table a bit high. I mean, way too far. Yeah, but if you're eating, eat what they give them the same kind of food.
Not to let them wait for you to finish eating.
Yeah, to eat leftovers.
Yes.
Yeah, and the way you communicate to them, the way you speak to them, be kind, really kind. For me, I used all those techniques. Yes, there are so many that I retained, and there are some I couldn't retain. In the morning, you are coming out trying to get the children ready for school. You're calling Namsisi, who is your house girl, and she's bursting in tears, and you ask what's the problem. My grandmom has died. No matter what you do. Those have also been there. Then I went to look for schools for my children. It was holiday time. I was taking them to other schools. We came back. He had broken into our bedroom. He was a boy. He had stolen all my husband's suits or his golden watches or everything, TVs and everything. He had brought in a pickup, packed everything and left. But we hadn't done anything to him, really. We were treating him well. So some you treat well, they would still do whatever they want, but you make it a point that you treat them well because you're leaving them with people who are so precious to you, like your children, and you don't want them to have any harm from them.
Even your food, they could poison your food.
Poison you, yeah. My sister-in-law, one time, one of his workers killed all her turkeys. He put poison in the water, and all the farm. She woke up in the morning, all her turkey gone, and the house help had gone. So we have to be extremely careful. These people have, I don't know, some of them have hearts of stone, or they're devils in human skin. They can do anything.
So what sort of lesson do we take from this then? If you were to advise someone on workers, given the dynamics that are all different, is there something that you can advise?
For you, what you do is to do your best. Do your best with them and leave the rest to Allah. At least you may not get the same damage like the person who has mistreated them. Because I've seen even they're the ones who know your movements and the ones who bring in people to rob you or even kill.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful. It's not an easy, there is no solution, no straightforward answer, but you do your part, do as much as you can, treat them well, feed them, do whatever you can. And like the lady said, if you're like having so many on a farm, if you fire them all and get a new staff, because the ones that you leave are the rotten apples that are going to spoil the rest that you come in with.
Oh,
yeah. Thank you so much, Shekeke.
Thank you very much. That was good to catch up with you before you get taken. Nusra, I'll come to you. I've managed to get Fatuma Humaira, who we had promised 5 minutes that almost ran over. And as Humaira comes in, a quick message from Isa Makumbi in the chat room, which I said you can actually put to very good use. He says, I run a B&B in Musabara with the running restaurant, but much of the work is done by workers. And when they are not around, we do the work ourselves. I have one, message just went through very fast. I'll just go back. I have one chambermaid who went home while sick. She hasn't bothered to ring in. She has been away for the last 5 days. Yeah, that can be something. Esu Food says, treat them well, but let them know that they are replaceable and they are answerable. Fantastic. Umaira, assalamu alaikum and welcome to the conversation. While you are away, I think you are listening in. Yes, the conversation got very, very, very interesting. Actually, we managed to sort of cross into a lot of thresholds. We went into a chicken farm, we went into a lorry truck business, we ended up with the maid at home who ended up cooking a baby in the oven, you know, because of being mistreated, and another one who killed an entire flock of turkeys by giving them poisoned water because they had been mistreated. Huge lessons there. Yes, welcome to the conversation. Your first time on the show as well.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You
Okay.
run Hafna Farms in Uganda. Tell us a little bit about Hafna Farms in Uganda, please.
Well, it's Hafna Family Farms. It's named after my mother. I do a lot of charity. I feed a lot of mosques and schools. So it came out of, wanting to be able to not buy all the stuff that I was supplying. So I needed a farm to actually have my own things that I can be able to use my own goats to, for eat. And that's kind of how it started. Now it has turned into a retreat farm, a visiting farm, quite very interesting. You should I think you know a little bit about it. It's on Facebook. It's my passion. I worked on it and built it and established it and ran it without ever seeing it. So I bought the land.
That was the point I was going to come to, and I'm sure many listeners into the conversation will be very interested to hear how you have a passion, you follow the passion. You established a farm without being there. How many years have you been away since the farm started?
So I bought the land in 2019 and cleared it. That kind of took me like 4 or 5 months, and I started stocking the farm in the end of that year. So I started really small, 6 cows, 22 goats. So I wanted things to go slow so I can build it better.
Yeah.
But instead of focusing, and I mean, it has grown really, really big. In COVID, we fed over 30,000 people in donation of food. I mean, we did fundraisers as well, but all the matoke came in just right as COVID was starting. The goats were starting to mature.
Coming from the farm.
From the plantation, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it has, I mean, everybody who has seen it, me included, is like, you managed to do this without being here. Like, people have come and visited me when I was there, and they said, I can't even criticize, because just the mere fact that you managed to do this in your absence is so incredible that I don't even know what to say about what you're not doing well.
Now, of course, that's the question on many people's minds now. How did you do it? How did you manage to pull it off?
And that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm not going to focus on all the issues and the problems and everything that I have had to go through to bring it to where it is. So I'm going to focus on what I have done personally that I think has made the biggest amount of difference. So for starters, the person who ran it was my brother, one of my elder brothers. And he was doing like what all other elder brothers do. I'm a child, I'm the little sister. I can't tell him what to do. If he wants to do something, he does it, and I can't tell him no. So then I had to change and put my younger brother in charge. Mm-hmm. So that made things really, really easier. First of all, I spent months on the phone, conversations, trying to change my brother's mindset, the young one, trying to show him I gave him the business plan of the farm, what I hope for it to be, what its objectives were. I shared all the information I had. I had to convince him of the potential even before it wasn't there. Mm-hmm. So every time we would have a conversation, every time there was where he wasn't sure that this is going to work. Of course, we had lots, in Uganda, having a farm is not the kind of glamorous business that you start. So, and my brother has a master's degree. So to convince him to leave Kampala to go to Chinone and settle there with his young wife and convincing him that this business plan is gonna work, that took a long amount of time to be able to get him to that. But I had to start off with that information, why we should own our own things, what the advantages of charity, everything that we had to do, but I told him I cannot do it without him, but he has to be on the same page with me. So that is for sure the first thing, that I did not just go run a farm without telling him what the vision is, without actually knowing that this person has the ability to change his mind and work on the things the way I want him to work on
his
them.
Being educated helped probably to get the vision, because part of the biggest problem for many people in the diaspora, especially when you are away, is you will go online. Before I left the BBC, before I put in my quitting letter to say I am going to go back to Uganda and farm, I spent nearly 7 months on the internet doing like endless research, watching all the videos that were available at that time. Of course, at this moment in time, you have too many resources available. But even then, back in 2015, there were so many videos, and I spent 6 months of intensive research. But then you go down to the ground and you're trying to sell a vision to someone, which becomes very difficult for the person to sort of understand or conceive the vision. Is it, with his education probably, did it come in handy to help him understand the vision the way you are sort of visualizing it, especially that you are not there? It's not like you are coming in and you are sitting down and getting to talk. You are on the phone and trying to sell a vision to a person who hadn't even seen it happen.
Yes, and so that the education part helped, but also everything that I had to read, I shared with him. Every video that I watched, I shared with him. Everything that I did, we were on the journey together. Of course, I was sharing with all my siblings because I thought I was building something that was ours. But of course, even the people that are your same mother, same dad, only a few can pick up something that you want to do. And we have to recognize that. We have to recognize somebody's potential and ability to do the job we are assigning them to do. And that was, so having my brother as the head of, kind of helps a lot. But also myself. So I'll speak on myself, and I think this is where a lot of us go wrong. Me, I am on the phone every single day. We have a meeting at the farm every single day, and I am in that meeting. Every worker has a schedule. They know when they wake up, they know exactly what they need to do, what they are going to do from morning. They know exactly at 7 a.m., at 6 a.m., we all wake up. The people milk the cows, the chickens are fed, everything is prepared. 7 a.m. we have breakfast. Everybody's at breakfast. We all eat the same food. We all eat together. We all communally eat. We eat the same food. Even when I'm there, we eat together. Then from there, they know what their day is going to be at every single day. So that kind of helps someone, having a schedule, waking up, knowing what you're going to do, because that is in the beginning was a big problem because things were not getting done. But now I assign specific assignments to people, and then at the end of the next day in the meeting, I need a report. We have reports. We know what if you didn't do what you were supposed to do, why? So
Are there
everybody.
no network issues, Humaira? Are there no network issues? There are times when you need this feedback and then the phone wasn't charged, our electricity went off, network, and you don't get to get the report in time for when you want it.
Yes, and all of those things happen. Actually, we don't even have electricity at the farm.
Yeah, that's what I
So
mean, especially if the phone has to be charged from somewhere at the trading center or
yeah.
then
No, we do have solar chargers, but what I'm saying is even if I am not going to be able to make it to the meeting, they have a meeting, and that's compulsory, and that's part of the schedule, and that's part of the day, and that happens also at the end of the month. At the end of the month, if there is a goat that died, the people that are in the goat department have to give us a reason why the goat died. Did they call the vet? What happened? The accountability that I expect from myself, from my brother, from the workers, everybody. My brother gives me a report of what is at the farm. Even the chickens that I had to count are counted. So we can every month I know exactly what numbers I have at the farm in everything. Goats and cows get counted every single day. Because what happened was, we would count, but we wouldn't count in sexes and breed. So they were exchanging them at the farm. If somebody wanted a Savannah male, they will give him a Savannah male, and they will bring back a very bad male. But we have tags and we keep count, and every goat gets checked by tag that it's there, and that's the goat. It's a Savannah male, white, it's there. So the books are really important. I know it's tedious, I know, but you have to keep the books. Because without the books, you cannot see what you're doing. You cannot know what you're doing with that. And that's kind of every time there has been some kind of safety or some kind of, it's been the books that have given me that information.
Now,
So,
looking forward, then, Humaira, you spend a couple of years not being around. Nusra, your hand, I hope, is not freezing. I'll be coming to you shortly. Just for anyone who has just joined us, if you've just joined us, it is 27 minutes past 9 o'clock in the United Kingdom. The program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. We are live on 75W Radio, on Umma Connected, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Zoom, and we are listening to Fatuma Humaira of Hafna Farms, giving us the experience, having not been around, establishing a farm in absentia, but then getting to almost successful running it, or successfully getting to run it. Humaira, you spent years and you started the farm remotely. When you finally came to see the farm, because you are receiving the pictures, you are receiving these reports. Finally, last year, was it this year, early this year, you return and you get to the farm that you created in absentia. Give me or give us a picture of how that felt when you arrived, when you landed onto the farm. Did you find what you expected? What was it that hit you the most?
I mean, if I say I cried, that would be the understatement of the year, because I sobbed. It was really, I mean, I had spent hours and hours and hours on the phone. I had planned out every single detail of, and that's it. For me, I don't take things for granted. I learned that if I am telling you to build something, I want to see it on camera. You have to follow up, because that's when you catch things, really quickly and fix them if they need to be fixed. But I mean, what I expected and what I found, I was absolutely mind blown. I mean, I'd been doing something you've never seen and then seeing it. It was so incredible to me that I had done that it was there, that it was, because a lot of people told me that it's not there. They are lying to you. If I wasn't involved every single day in every single detail, I would probably have thought, I dreamt it, but I knew everything. I name all my cows just for accountability purposes. And when they have a baby, I write it down, the date, the sex. That keeps me. So I knew all my cows. I knew all these things, but seeing it in person was so incredible. A
Now,
lot of things were many things were way better than I expected them to be, and a lot of things fell short. But at least I wasn't really so disappointed to be like, oh my God, I thought I would find this, but it's not here. That didn't happen to me, thank God, because that's something I prayed 5-10 times a day about. But I think the only thing that made that concrete difference for me was how involved I was. I was so hands-on in each detail, in everything. I never let anything for granted. The other thing that really, really makes a difference, and I will, employ you to do this, is when I get a new employee, I take them to the police station. I take them to the police. I report, I introduce them to the police as my workers. We take all their information. They have to give me the ndagamuntu, the ID of their father, the ID of their mother, and I keep their own ID. If you are leaving, I'll give you your ID. But as long as you are in my care and you work for me, I keep it. So, and I don't keep anybody who doesn't want to stay. I fire very quickly. I fire my engineers. I fire my workers. I fire very, very quickly. I don't keep anybody at the farm that doesn't want to be there. And that's
How
something.
easy is it to replace? How easy is it to replace the fired staff?
I have found my own way, because I found somebody that I created some sort of hiring agency that I own, that now we look for workers, we interview them, and they are always there available. So if somebody needs to go, they go, and the next day the other person is on the bus coming. So that's something, because I suffered so much with employees, that I managed to kind of be like, okay, these are casual workers. I cannot expect them to stay at this farm for 7 years. So even at some point now, they sign contract. We have paperwork, everything. Even if I know it would take it for granted that if somebody is not educated, we shouldn't take them through this process. But I do. They sign paperwork. I tell them the schedule. I show them everything they are going to do before I give them the job. So that way they know what to expect, and then I fire them, and then I hire some. They see that when the ones that are there see that when somebody is fired today, the next day they are replaced, they think twice sometimes before they do something. And I treat them incredibly well. And I know that you say that sometimes you give them like acres of land to grow their own food, but I found that does not work. People like cash. I would rather they appreciate, and that's where they take incentives for granted. Ugandans don't know, they don't really understand incentives. So they take that for granted. So for me, what I do, we vote for an employee of the month every month. And that employee of the month gets a certain amount of money. So they compete, and they themselves choose who's going to be the employee of the month. So that way.
That's really, really beautiful. And I'm sure people listening in now will have taken notes, and they definitely. So, well, just one last question is, if there is something that you had to do differently, what would that be? Considering, I mean, you did everything remotely, you got to the ground, you were more than impressed, but at the same time, definitely looking to the future, going forward now that you have already connected the theory to the practice, what would you do differently in terms of tonight's topic, which is about the workers? Is there something that you think you can do or you ought to do differently going forward?
I think what I would do differently, and something that cost me quite a lot of money, was the numbers I like, the breeds that if you are, the quality of the things that you start with when you are learning something. Because that's something I bought a male goat for $2,000 in South Africa, and it died because the people, I didn't have any experience. I wasn't, and all my goats, even if there were few, they were really hybrid. So that's a big mistake that I did that I know that I wouldn't do again until I've learned and then until I have the system in place to be able to do that. But yeah.
In terms of staffing?
In terms of staffing, and that's something I have just started when I went there, is nobody leaves the farm without permission. I mean, these things seem like, oh, you can't tell grown-up people to, but no, everybody, if you are going outside of the farm, you have to let us know where you're going, how long you're going to be there, and what you're going to do. And that actually, because if you just let them go, drink, come back, they associate with the outsiders, make the deals. We don't do that. Nobody's allowed visitors, and nobody goes out without permission.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Fatima. I'm sure there will be people listening in and they might have questions. Well, the questions, once they come into the chat room, I'll flag them over. Just like in case you hear something as well from other speakers, you are free as well to sort of partake, because this is our global community conversation. Here, the way the experiences really make a huge difference. I'm sure from all tonight's submissions, you're sort of getting a different feel, and probably you are looking at yourself and seeing the things that you have been doing right or wrongly, and maybe it's time to think about or do a rethink of how differently you could and should do them. Some things work for some people, some things don't work for others. Mariam says Uganda is the most stressful. When it comes to workers, they never work well. They are more good in chatting than work. Lil says this is a very hot topic, which I have enjoyed so much. Unfortunately, I have to leave because I have an emergency to attend to. Looking forward to future discussions. Inshallah, I hope we'll have you. iPhone says I got told my workers would go and do Kagwira or somewhere else, knowing they get monthly pay. So they would rather go and do a quick one. Farmers, how do you measure days work for monthly and casual laborers? Hey, now that's a question I think I might have a say about it. I'm sure others also will have a say. Nusra, I'm coming to you with your hand, which has been freezing. I hope it's not frozen. How can this be handled? I think that's the question from Abasa Anita. I think that was the question regarding the farmers. How do you measure days work for monthly and casual laborers? Okay, and Mariam says you are just lucky because these workers, no matter whether you treat them well, they never complete the work if you are not on the ground. Well, Hafna has already proven she's followed it up. Abasa Employee of the Month is a new concept to try at the farm. No, we are already doing it as well, and it makes a huge difference. Really comes in quite handy. Namkwaya Amina says you employ workers but don't put trust in them, which hurts them. Some bosses say they don't care about losses, they need the profits the way they expected it, and pressure the worker to deliver. Sometimes you get a trustworthy worker who even gives you bonus he made you didn't know, but coming to his salary, you take long to pay. Oh, sad. Some rude bosses also make workers even get debts to compensate to your losses because bosses aren't understanding and they want to keep the job. Boss can tell you, send this money to my girlfriend, yet he didn't pay you. Oh dear. If a worker makes much than you expect them, then they can money, but not taking it also. Okay, leave them with the money, but don't take it off them. Nusra, apologies for keeping you waiting. We are with you now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You
You know
have
what?
heard so much of this. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah. Yes. To the workers, what do workers want? What's your take?
Do you know what? I cannot match that lady, what she just
Hafna.
said.
Yes.
That one was actually quite incredible and quite that was wow. And also Hajati Sarah, can't even match her either. Her one was also incredible. So I'm not going to be able to match any of those. So
Well, your experience is your experience, so it doesn't really matter.
Indeed. So for me, I've got a business in the UK. I've been running it for 3 years. So yeah. So basically I'm a childminder. But what I like to do, I like to also employ people so I can actually get the numbers. So, and the difficulties I've realized is that if we said every single a person will come to you,
Yes,
but
madam.
actually, I know that they've got other ideas.
Yeah.
You know, you sit down because when people actually come, I tell you, said every single what I've realized when you've got people, you know, they'll be very excited, Okuyamba, and then all of a sudden, you know, they start to count how much you bring in. But actually, they forget that, you know, you've got headcount, you've got the bills, you've got expenses, and the expenses actually outweigh what's coming in. So if said every single people actually don't ever look at that. And because they don't look at that, they're thinking, "Anange, on Asasurabutono, you know, my first employee." She actually said, "Oh, you know, you pay me less than McDonald's will pay me." Even though she only worked 1 day and a half.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, by the way, even we sat down, we discussed the money. She was more than happy with it." I think the work got to her. She got frustrated. When she got frustrated, by the way, ye goba yeka. But then after Okwegoba, she reported me to my landlord that I was running a business in my home. And then, you know, they wrote me a letter and they said, and then my landlord said, "Do you have a month to go? Because yagala kukolera." I said, "Huh?" Said, "No way." He said, "Yeah." So, you know, I think you've actually got somebody who doesn't want to work with you. You know, so sometimes, so not, she reported me, my neighbor also reported me. So I had two people against me. So she left. I had another one come in. No, and I didn't want to work. So that one
Reporting
had
to the landlord.
to my landlord, yes. To
Right.
my landlord.
Reporting what? To say what? That the house
To
needs.
basically say that I'm running a business in my home.
Right.
That
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to run a business in my home. So you know, that's a case I'm fighting and I fought. I think because I already asked for permission to run the business in my home, I wasn't too scared. Because what I tend to do when I want something, I go over people's heads. So instead of me having a word with my housing officer, I went to her manager and held a word with her for me to actually run the business. So it's the same way I said to, you know, her boss. I said, "If you don't allow me to run it, I'll just I'll just go over your head and talk to the CEO." So I'm not afraid of that. So I think what people didn't realize, they thought Okundopa, they're gonna shut me down. But they didn't realize how much connection I had. But that's by the way. But when it comes to workers, I don't think abantu ebiseera ebisinga bamanyi kye baagala. I think sometimes when you talk to somebody n'obagamba, "I've got a business, I'm doing so and so." Ate sometimes also bwe babeera nabo bagirimu, they actually want to see what you've got.
Yeah.
Ate ebiseera ebisinga people don't want to help you for you to grow. Baagala kulaba, how do you run things and how do you cope? And you know, but then what they don't realize is they're hindering you rather than helping you. Instead of saying, "By the way, sagala kukolera, I've got this, that, this." Bakwasaganya bingi. Kati ate gwe, you know, just like how you said at the beginning, as the Quran tells us, "Omuntu musasule what?" On time.
Yes.
You know, I tend to actually do that. As soon as the money comes in, you know, I actually don't pay myself sometimes. I make sure that, you know, the workers are paid so they're happy. But I've realized no matter what business you do, you just like Ajit Sarah said, we were treating Nga how you want to be treated. Allah, because people are never satisfied. You know, I can't even imagine running a business in Uganda because that would be a headache in itself.
That was what I was going to ask you. Do you run any business in Uganda?
I did, and I sold the property
Right.
just last year. It was quite big. Yeah, I think it had 18 rooms. So there was 12 at the back, 18. There's about 14 at the back, and it was 3 at the front. I'm not great with maths, but I sold it. And it was too much.
You couldn't manage it. Was it the pressure around managing it, or?
Do you know what it is? Sente zivaamu nga ze zimaintaining at the actual place. Nga eyingiza efulumya. And you're like, I don't understand. And you're forever not thinking even. You're just constantly spending. You know, abantu bakulaba ng'olina business. Nga oba onyiriddeko one day balowooza how yonna sente z'alina. Not knowing your bona.
Yes.
You wake up early, you go to bed late, to weigh back car, you're stressed. You know, even as little as being a childminder, you're stressed because yes, even though I've got 2 workers, now even that stresses you out.
Now we
So I
need
can only
to stress it.
imagine how many, oh my Lord. But yes.
Thank you very much, Nusra, for that contribution. I've
Yes.
seen Namkwaya Amina's hand being up. I think she's managed to sneak away. It's good to hear the Saudi aspect now. Owembogo, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you? You are almost in the chat room giving us the perspective of the worker, because we are looking so much as the bosses employing the people, and you're bringing in the workers' perspective to sort of say the ingrateful or the ungrateful bosses sometimes make work difficult. First of all, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, I'm working for the
Have you finished your day's work? Now? Yes. Okay. Let's talk about the work schedule. Now, emirimu wadde ogamba ku kyabakozesa okuba nti they become the problem sometimes.
Okay, like once I was employed in Uganda, naye omuntu eyampa tafa close.
Waliwo very strong background noise, Amina. Is it possible to probably have it quieter or toina bw'ovaawo? And those are mutings, because that will allow us now probably to be able, once she's ready, we can get back to her. But in the meantime, I think it is 12 minutes to 10 o'clock. Very fantastic submissions tonight regarding Anita. You were there, and you are one. I think it's the first time we're also having you in the conversation. It would be good to hear from you. Anita, you asked the question. I think you are also trying to emphasize a question that was raised by iPhone, which was about the idea of paying casual workers or casual labor for monthly workers. I mean, whenever you're ready, please just let me know and we'll come to you. I know probably you're trying to get to a quieter place. The background noise was way too much. Abasa, Anita, are you there? You're raising the, yes. Hello, Anita.
Hello.
Hello, good to have you, Wasiwot.
Sibreje. Good to be on the forum.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, it's quite late. It's coming to midnight.
Yes, I would imagine sometimes when we are at these ends, we forget those ends, but it's a program that rushes. In Australia, it's nearly 3 a.m. now.
I can imagine.
Yes.
Well, I was more interested because I've been having a scenario at the farm,
yes,
dealing with farm boys. When you're a lady, it becomes tough. They feel they don't want to listen until there is a male figure that is going to threaten. And it has gotten me thinking, do they think this is a man's business only? Recently, I lost a cow. Yet I had been at the farm. I'm a teacher. So during school time, I am quite busy. Since we were on holiday, I was at the farm. The cows were eating well. I leave the farm, and in the next 2 hours, they tell me one of the heifers has dropped dead.
Yes.
It hit me so hard, and I didn't, when you don't know whether to fire everyone or close down the farm. That same morning, I'd met one of the casual laborers, actually. I found him, but at a distance, I saw him he had cut the grass, and he was walking away with
the grass.
2 batches, I think, that he had left with somewhere. He didn't see me. So I called the manager. I'm like, what's happening? No, that's not, it hasn't been happening. I didn't see him. Well, I'm like, anyway, it's just grass. So that evening, when I finally called the vet, I'm like, please do for me a postmortem. Let me find out what has really actually killed my cow. Okay, it was indigestion, but for him, his first note was, how come indigestion can't just kill? No one noticed. I'm like, but I was at the farm myself. It's like, well, I think your boys must be playing something. Of course, given the morning impression I had about this casual laborer who was working out about 11, I felt like, okay, is this when you just close? Because you can't quantify. You can't say, this is how much grass you should cut from this time to this time, sit and watch the cows feed. It has baffled me. It has stressed me out. These are boys that we talk. We even had, I even do a cash round with them. Trying to be as good as possible.
Motivate and
let's do a cash round. Let's make an accountability of also me. When I get the money, I tell them, oh, by the way, I used this money for this, because that's what I expect from them. I feel like someone talked about them staying for long, because I've had my boys for almost 6 years now.
Right.
I'm thinking, is that the reason why? Should I just wake up and just send everyone home and start afresh? You count the chicken today and you're off, I'm at school, and they tell you, oh, madam, they fell sick. We've lost 5. Hey, okay. I always tell them, yeah, I know you will steal, but leave for me. Nange mundekere ko.
Now, but however, I mean, as jokingly as the statement sounds, you are almost acknowledging, but also now authorizing. Because if you make a statement like that, you're sort of allowing it. But the counting now, especially with chicken, I think we get lazy. Ajat Sarah at some moment was making her submission and saying, she had 1,500, 1,000 birds, and the counting would have been difficult. But you vaccinate. When you're vaccinating, it's a chicken per chicken per chicken.
Exactly.
And that's the best time to actually do the counting, because at least be there for that time. You might fail at other times, but at time of vaccinating, they can't vaccinate one that, when it goes on the site. Also on the issue of the heifer that died, the circumstances, yes, indigestion, it might take that time. I almost got a heart attack one time. I was struggling so much. I had my best cow, Gaju, was pregnant, and it went into labor. And it went into labor around 8 o'clock in the morning. The cow struggled from 8 o'clock until 4:30 in the evening. That's when they managed to pull out the dead calf. It was in, like very painful labor. We are running around. The person who was in charge was, away. The manager is there. The manager wouldn't be able to, to sort of deal or help it to deliver. They tried whatever they could. We couldn't get a vet. You run around calling all vet numbers. Anita, you just muted yourself. It's okay. You can just keep the line. Yeah. We're running around, like trying to get a vet. Meanwhile, I'm here in UK. I'm just following up everything. I'm just saying, put on the video. I want like continuous flow of information. I'm there almost getting a heart attack, looking at my best cow almost die. Up to four, I couldn't even go to work. I was just looking and it was just so bad. I was just thinking, what can someone do? Because I was thinking, if I was there, could it have been different? Because at least I know I would have done something. Although, I mean, this was almost fate. But you look at the level of irresponsibility that is there. But there's another part to this, which is there is actually an ongoing trade in dead animals. So the fact that your animal has died, for you, when you hear it has died, you just throw away. As a Muslim, I wouldn't even eat something that has just, died like that. These people actually sell. There are people who actually seriously trade in dead animals. My farm is, just about 8 miles, no, nearly 10 miles from Kafu, 6 miles inside, 4 miles on the road. Careful, whenever you eat this meat on the road, you don't know what you're eating. These people, there are people, they will hear a cow has died, like that calf which was born dead. I was lucky the mother didn't die. Mother managed to survive. But the dead calf, actually, someone comes and, I don't want to know about it. It has to go and get dumped. Someone is actually selling off that. So the dead goats, the dead cows are a big business. Someone comes and buys it, goes and prepares it, and it ends up on a mudara, on a mchomo. You don't know what has happened to it. So oftentimes you don't even have a postmortem having been done. And it's there is that trade also that you need to be aware about. But I'm also wondering about this. Go ahead.
By morning, the cow was gone.
Are you surprised now hearing about this trade?
Now hearing that, it makes more sense because I really wanted to know what had actually killed my cow.
Yes.
It was gone. And I'm stuck. I don't know whether to just tell these boys I'm closing down. Guys, go. I don't know. It's so frustrating that when I saw this, I told myself I have to listen in, whether it is at midnight.
Yeah.
I might get a solution.
Farming, Anita, farming is not for the faint-hearted. You really, and your level of resilience has to be, because you lose and then you go. But once you start enjoying the benefits of it, when you see the milk coming out and you take it to the dairy, when you see, the calves being born and coming in, that I think sort of psychologically sort of washes the pain. But you are continuously and constantly, especially the lack of vets. In fact, I would have wanted to hear from Hafna how she manages, the vet, because even, I recruited a vet now who had just graduated from Bukarasa, brought him in, and I'm just thinking, I put this person in. Sheikh Kayira, you was lucky to save the mother cow. Yes, Mariam, you're sounding as if you lost yours. I would like to hear that bit. So Anita, how do we get around that? Because with the casuals now, what I've done is with the casuals, the way one, and Humaira, I think, had come in to talk about the idea of the vet, which I'll bring you in quickly. But the idea of the casuals, the way the casuals work, because the casuals, like in my area, they create a picture where they start work at 7 and then they have to leave at 12. My day, you have to lay out very clearly.
Exactly.
So I lay out my day very clear. I say, this is my day. When you come in as a casual, our day starts at 7. We break at 1 for everybody's lunch. We have 30, so we break up at 12:30 and then we are back at 2 o'clock. So we allow a person that 1.5 hours. The 1 hour goes into food, 30 minutes goes into their relaxation. By 2 o'clock, we are back into work. And that moves all the way until 5 o'clock, going into 6 o'clock. It's a must. So someone comes in very clearly knowing these are the terms. If you agree to the terms, of course you haven't paid, so they can't be paid until they've delivered on the work. This has created a bit of discipline, at least in terms of that. So the casuals have to know, if they create a situation where they say, we need a deposit, sometimes they say, but herezeuka deposits and kokoro.
Uh-huh.
Once you allow that, then you have already walked into that shape. What I've done is I provide the food, and providing the food means I'm in control of the food. Controlling the food means we are putting a specific time, because all the workers on the farm break off at 12:30. 1 o'clock, everybody's on the table having their meal. 2 o'clock, they will be all back. So simply put, if you're coming to work on the farm, you have to go by the terms of the farm, and that helps. Fatuma Humaira, you had come in on the issue of the vet quickly before I let Anita go. Anita, don't go. We are still on you, but I wanted Humaira to tell us about
I thank you. I wanted to first come in at the issue of the dying heifers. I lost 2 heifers, and I found out that they were milking them at home, taking them to graze, and milking them there and selling them milk. And then the heifer was so malnourished, and you couldn't take it, because with me, I'm like, okay, my cow gives me 20 liters or 15 liters, so I'm gonna do. And we don't milk in the evening, so the calves can suckle. So, but that cost me 2 cows.
And how long do you let the calves suckle for? Apologies to the people who are not farmers. It has become so farming language, but I think they are lessons to say. How long do your calves suckle?
Between 3 months. I like them to really actually grow up, but that's kind of something you have to look into. So how I found out is I sent one of my young nephews to hide and see what happens when the cows are grazing. And then the boda came with the jerry can then he was there milking it. Right. And then taking the milk. And I lost 2 before I found out.
Anita,
and also
Anita,
with the
how is your weaning period? Anita, how is your weaning period?
We've been doing 3 to 6 months.
Up to 6 months?
Yes.
No, not the milking. I mean allowing the calf to breastfeed.
We actually don't allow the calves to breastfeed. We
you just
milk,
take them
then
off
give
straight
them.
away.
Yes, then feed them.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And on the issue of the dead meat, everything that dies at my farm, I have to see it. It doesn't matter what. If a chicken dies, I need a picture of a dead chicken, and then it gets buried. It gets
that
buried.
Makes more sense.
Are all the chickens the same color? Because if it, can they not share a photo from the previous dead?
No, everything that dies at my farm, I get a picture of it. If it's a goat, if it's a cow, if it's a chicken, I get a picture of it. And after it gets buried, and somebody that is from has to be there to supervise. I don't care how many cows I lose. I will bury the whole cow. I have refused to give it to the villagers because it's dead. I refuse to give it because if it died, I don't know what killed it. If it's something that would kill a human being. So because of that, they hate me for that, for burying the cows, but I bury the cows.
Right. Anita, thank you very much, Humaira, on that. On the vet situation.
And the vet, well, I struggled a lot with that, but then I found one who is on call for us. He has had to do 2 C-sections on my cows. I have had 2 C-sections on the cows, but I mean, I pay him well. It costs a lot, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's been worth it.
No, I've had to do that as well. I got one on a retainer, so you pay a retainer, which is standard monthly.
Yes.
But which, as a result, he has to do 2 visits to the farm. 2 visits to the farm. That is the normal visits, but then also be available for emergencies. And then for emergencies, would pay like for his fuel or whatever medication he provides, but at least he's on standby. And that makes a huge difference, actually. When
yes, that and the fact that every time we kill a cow, we give him some meat. He likes that very much. It keeps him motivated.
Is there a particular part of the meat?
Yes, definitely. It doesn't matter if we I motivate him that way. If we have slaughters and we have a lot of them, his family gets a package, whether he's there or not, we take it there. So he really likes that.
All right, thank you very much, Humaira. Anita, so going forward,
Okay,
then,
if I may ask, okay, sorry, if I may interject.
Yes,
If
go
you don't
ahead.
mind me asking, what would be that retainer for a vet?
For a vet, actually, I got my quote from the agriculture officer. What I did is I went to the district agriculture officer because I said, now I've suffered so much. I want to do everything professionally. Went to the agriculture officer and said, I need your advice on this. One, he identified a vet for me. And he gave me two initially. Then he said, no, this one is not very reliable. This one is much more reliable. The retainer for me is 100,000 because you're just paying it flat. It's plain money.
Yes.
Whether and it's only this retainer, this 100,000 is for 2 visits a month.
Oh,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Those are the official visits. So I know in every 2 weeks you'll have the person coming in once. What that does then, it means is if within the week there has been a sort of a situation, he can check that, he can advise, and that would actually mitigate the situation before it gets worse.
Yes.
In case of emergency, he can be called upon, which is outside these 2 times. And I would pay for fuel for that and medication in case he had to buy medication that we do not have at the farm. So that way, at least he knows he's 100,000, even if he's eating dates wherever he knows 100,000 is coming. You make sure you keep it to the very date. When it comes, it's there. And then at least now, whenever you call him, it would be easier because they use motorcycles, and motorcycle, he will just put in 10,000 or 15,000. And that will be able to bring him to the farm, and he will deal with the emergency and then go. Even if there are situations where he does not have his motorcycle and you have to do the transport, I would rather incur that and deal with an emergency than have to deal with the loss. Because if you lose a heifer, you are talking 6, 7, 8 million in comparison to, say, paying even if it is 200,000 on the day of service. So it makes a lot of logical sense, at least, to save one while dealing with the other.
That makes more sense.
Thanks,
we are learning on the job.
We all are learning, definitely. Okay, let's just bring in one person. It's 7 minutes past 10 o'clock. Safina in Canada, I think. Safina, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Anita, fantastic first timer and fantastic contribution as well. Thank you very much. Safina, assalamu alaikum. Mr. Ezra Rukoya, your line is there, but your microphone is not on. So I don't know if you are able to hear us. Send us a message in the chat room, please, at least to let us know you are able to hear us. But I was trying to see if I could bring you in, but your microphone is not on. Ajad Safina, are you at work? I'm trying to get to you. Mariam says, it's really interesting. That was a message from Fazir Mayanja. Namkoya I think is available now as we try to get Safina. Amina, go ahead. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi
Thank
wa
you.
barakatuh.
We had to disturb you to move to a different place. Yes, please, go ahead.
Anti bano boogerera waggulu kasita bakuliraana. Nze ngenda kwogera ku sayidi y'abakozi she.
Yes.
Mu kusooka nali mukozi nga nkyali Uganda. Abantu abakola ezo bizinesi z'okusuubula nabo balina challenges. Nti aleeta emmali okuva mu kyalo, obuvunaanyizibwa n'abukwasa buli omuntu gwe yeesiga. No supplying ezo ensawo za ovacado, ndiizi, omwo wino. Kati ate mu kutuuka omuntu n'akugyamu trust. Ogenze no supplying buli kimu ku lulwe, n'omubanjiza abantu abasukka mu 30, ate ng'aleese effuuso ejjudde ebintu. Ate watuuka mu kusaba ssente n'akugyamu trust yeeyo. Lwaki toweereza ssente zange ozibba? So omukozi buli w'omugyamu trust yeeyo, ate nze nga nfuddeyo okulaba nti akasente ko konna nkakuuma nkakuwe. Kireetera omukozi naye okutandika kugamba okukyawa omulimu n'okulowooza okubba. Kubanga sikubbye nkuwadde. Naye ate gwe tontaddemu trust oli awo. Lwaki abantu tobabanja? Lwaki toleeta ssente? Why are you taking long? Oli mu kubba ssente zange? Ate nga abantu abo bwe bateekamu abaana baabwe bazibba tebabibalirira. So another experience nali nkolanga manager mu mu tailoring company
Muchi?
but babosi abamu nabo mu tailoring company
Tailoring, yes.
yes kati babosi abamu mmwe abalina ssente mugala ne muleeta abantu mwe muyita mikwano gyammwe ne mubateeka mu business n'abamanager manager oyo ate n'afuna nzi secretary so nze secretary waba ngamba nti bala roolo z'engoye ze baba baleeta roolo we baya 7,000 ate agamba bwandike 9,000 mwe babosi ne muneglectinga okubeera nga mucekinga ebitabo bino nga mwesiza omuntu ono gwe mwateekamu kumbe ababba n'ofulumya miliyoni 3 naye nga mubufunze bosi alina kuta miliyoni 2 nga ziri miliyoni 10 z'ono manager so mwe babosi musuulirira emirimu ne mugiwa abantu mwe mulowooza nti mwesize ate nga bongeramu akasente ate n'otuuka olumu kati bano ku sayidi ey'okusasula omuntu asobola obeera trustworthy akwata akasente ko n'akakuwa bulungi but reaching time of payment n'omulaga nti sente ze tozirina naye ate ng'osobola omuga nti kwata sente zino ziweereze girlfriend wange zino ziweereze oli naye ate nga sikujje nga nza kubalira n'ebitabo kozi nkubalira ebitabo n'ezifikawo n'ezikwata n'enzikuwa z'otamanyi kozi babosi abamu nze bwe nali nkolera nga teyeefiirayo
so issue ya trust obutatrustinga mukozi n'oba nti buli kadde omwekengera
toweekengera mukozi n'okubeera nti nammwe babosi mucekinge mu bitabo bano abantu bemulekera bizinesi bongeramu nnyo fe ababala ebitabo fe abategeera ebyo nze mmanya nti bosi kye bamugambye ekya miliyoni emu kya 8 naye kati mwe babosi you neglect ne mubisuulirira
kakati nga bosi bw'ojja nga bakiwandiisa osobola kitaasa otya kubanga oyinza okujja nga olredde bakiwandiisa ate weesize kati bosi oyinza kumuyamba otya beyond okucekinga ekitabo oyinza okucekinga ekitabo era nosanga bwe bakiwandiikira baba bamanyi definitely oyisobola okukiraba
nsonga kwe kufolowinga buli kimu okuva wekikula kati mu issue eno eya tailoring nze ngenda nembala okuva ku wuzi paka ku bintu byonna bye tukozesa mu factory okufulumya olugoye naye ate gwe bosi ova ku kintu kimu olugoye olufulumye na ssente mmeka ezigenda okuvaamu tofudde ku material gwe mukozesezza kukola lugoye olwo akosinga mmeka so singa mutunuulira okuva eno wansi nti mbuzi eba ya 2 empiso ya 3 n'otafa ku product egenda fuluma n'osooka ofa eno wansi bigwera mu ssente mmeka I benefit or I don't benefit kozi okakkana ng'omusajja oyo akola losinene naye nga ye tamanyi
kati ku sayidi ey'abakozi magezi ki ge waali wadde abakozesa ng'oggyeko okucekinga ebitabo ng'oggyeko trust maybe ki ekirala kyolaba ekisaanye okuba nti kijja at least nekibeera omwanya
awo mpozi nyogere ku sayidi eno ey'ekyombo ky'abawalabu gyendi
yes mbawalabu mbadde ndaba obalese obadde okyabasonyiye
kati ku sayidi eno singa omukozi omulaga omukwano n'omuwa free time ng'ofunye omukozi alina omutima omulungi alhamdulillah nafuna amaka bantu balungi kwagamba omuntu najja okugamba ekintu n'atakubogoya n'agamba Amina please akagamba ako nze bummalamu nnyo kati kyemmanyi n'omukozi omulala w'oteekako obwo obugambo bu gratitude zinga obwo buleetera omukozi okukola emirimu gye obulungi secondly n'omukkiriza alye buli kimu ky'ayagala babosi abamu batukweka ebyokulya ne Uganda gye bali omukozi buli onoomukweka ekyokulya agenda kufuna omutima gw'okutta secondly tubeera n'ebizibu okuva ewaka tufiringa lonely obeera mu nnyumba y'omuntu nga bw'okawuntinga nga famire yo ate nabo ne bakusuulirira kigenda kuleetera obutakola mirimu bulungi so waliyo abalala be balaga omukwano still ne bakola opposite side but wano njogera ng'ofunye omukozi alina omutima omulungi kati obugambo obwa gratitude naawe okwenenya nga gwe bosi babosi mukola ensobi naye za alhamdulillah wanagamba ana asifu nsonyiwa Amina kino kyenkozi kwagamba kikwongera n'owoba onyiize okola oddamu essanyu n'okola omulimu ogwo bulungi secondly oba ekisembayo singa bakama baffe mutusasula mu budde ku musaala gw'omukozi ne gutuuka n'ogumuwa mukadde n'otaziriisaayo ate ne mugezaako n'okutusembeza nze wano weewanga amenye okumbuuza abe wammwe bali batya tulina ebizibu mufuule mukwano gwo si nnyo naye mubuuzeeko olabe ku byayitamu kugamba omulage nti this is home kijja kuleetera okukola emirimu egyo bulungi newankubadde wali era balina emitima emibi si buli omu nti alowooza nga
Fantastic. Barakallahu fikum. Put it out. And I'm sure probably, well, employers now you are listening in. You are seeing what we need to do to make the life of workers actually much more appreciable. Naye amina waliwo ayinza okugamba nti omukozi bw'otandika okumuwa iyo appreciation gy'oyogerako ate oluusi eyinza okuvaamu akamanyiiro gwayagadde okulaga nti omusaasidde, you know, omuwadde akadde kano n'aba nti akatekinga for granted n'aba nga atakavalubirinze.
kisinzira engeri gy'okamuwaddemu kati nze buno obugambo gratitude ntegeeza nti mukama wange ajja n'angamba Amina jangu okole kino ateekako akagambo ako please come and do this bw'oba omaze okukikola n'agamba shukran n'akwebaza kwegamba omukolera akusasula naye alaze yo love nange nenyongera okwagala omubiri olumu tunyiga olina ebizibu naye wajja n'akugamba please oddamu essanyu n'akwebaza ate mu masekkati g'omwaka ne watuuka akaseera n'akwata emitwalo nga 7 n'agamba nga kuwadde weeyisa bulungi wallahi kigenda kunnyongera naawe okukola emirimu gino kyekimpa amaanyi n'enkola emirimu buli lunaku nti batunula
bw'oli nabo embeera gye balimu yeeyo, that is how they treat you.
This is how they treat me naye wenyumyako n'emikwano gyange emirala olaba nti bakama baabwe bali rude kati noono tagenda kukola mirimu bulungi ogamba seefiirayo nebusirongose ennyumba si yange batutikka emirimu gy'atasobola kutikka mwana we so ebintu ebyo singa omukozi omuwa omulimu gw'osobola okuwa omwana wo nga nawe olabira ddala omwana asobola ogukola bw'oba omuwa naye kyolaba kyatasobola kukola ate olumu ne batikka emirimu egyandikoleddwa omusajja n'ogitikka omwana ow'obuwala.
Fantastic. Amina, barakallahu fikum. Thank you very much for your time. 16 minutes past 10 o'clock. Oh my God, and time is flying. Very interesting conversations. Actually, this is one of the best conversations we've had, especially hearing from all sides. I mean, both sides. You're looking at the boss, you're looking at the worker, you're looking at the farms, you're looking at offices, you're looking at factories. The story is actually very widespread. Lots learned on this meeting. Thank you for this initiative. Thanks very much, Anita, as well. Winnie Akido, I was trying to get to hear from you just before we get wrapping up. I'd like to hear from Winnie. I would like to hear from Rokaya and Mariam, Texas. Winnie, are you there? Are you able to speak? Winnie? You can just press the unmute button. Hello, Winnie, are you there? All right, thank you. Hi, Winnie. Good evening.
Yes, I'm there.
How are you today?
I'm okay, thank you.
Where are you joining us
just
from?
briefly, I'm from Uganda.
You are in Uganda. Okay, thank you very much for joining
Yes.
the conversation. Where do you come to this conversation, as a worker or as an employer? Or probably your own take on this particular
As an employer.
As an employer, yes.
As an employer.
What's your experience?
Yeah, one thing I've noticed, just briefly, give your workers their space. I give my workers their space to make their own decisions. I let them call the shots in their offices. And I appreciate work well done.
What sort of business do you run, Winnie?
I have my little farm. It's just starting out, but I let my worker make all his decisions.
How do you mean when you say they make their decisions? Is that on the basis of your plan? You've provided the bigger picture and then they get to implement? What do you mean when you say you give them their space?
I give them their space. Okay, I just tell them what I need to get done. Like now I want to set up a banana plantation. So they will set their pace. They will determine how and when they will do it systematically. They'll do it at their pace since it's just starting out. Then I'm trying to do some free range chicken. It's really on a small scale. We're just starting out. Yeah. But I let them do it at their pace.
When you say at their pace, because now things like farming, especially, and something like a banana plantation, you will have time that you need to establish it because you need to catch up with the rains. We know late March, you have got apple by May, the rains will be drying out. You need to have that banana plantation established and in the ground for you to be able to make money out of it. If you're going to allow them to do it at their own pace, are you sure your target can be reached in time?
We may not meet our target, may not meet my target on time, but since I'm just starting out for now, it's a learning curve. Let me put it that way. It's a learning curve, but we're doing it at his pace. Yeah, at his pace.
What I'm worried about,
Long term, there will be goals
what I'm
set.
worried
There will
is
be goals set.
if you don't set the standards now, and you allow him to sort of move at their own pace, when you get to the pressure, when you need it delivered within a particular time frame, it might be difficult because they are used to their own pace, which might not be your pace. And you are the owner, you are the owner of the business, you want it within a given time.
Yeah, that's true. But my plan in the near future, I'm going now to step up the pace. Right now, there is no timeline for I want an acre of bananas set up. But later on, we shall have small steps. Okay, I need this land cleared. Let's clear this land and let's do it within 2 weeks. After that, let's dig the holes. Let's do this within 2 weeks. That is long term. I mean, in the near future. But for now, we are doing it at our pace. Then we shall step it up slowly.
Because
until we
see,
start
Winnie,
giving
I think
timelines.
the very question that I was asking, sorry to interrupt as you talk, the very question that I had is what JM has just put in the chat room is saying, Naye Winnie, how are you letting them do it at their own pace? Are you the financier? You've totally confused me. How do you invest and start a business with no timeline? So this person is now coming to question the very question I had. Go ahead, Winnie. Hello, Winnie, are you there? Hello, Winnie. Oh, Winnie, I think she's got disrupted there. Fazil Mayanja's hand was up. Fazil, I come to you. I gather it was not Winnie's question that you wanted to ask as well. The question that was asked by JM. Yes, Fazil. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, today has been a ladies' night, so
it's been a ladies'
a
night
bit to have
because
some bit of gender
they are
balance.
in and they are strongly coming in with all the experience. They are going into the dirt and touching it.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been very fascinated by the experience that people are putting out.
Yes.
I've always wanted to get into farming, but yeah, I think by listening today, I don't know. I'm still I don't know
It's
if
not for
I
the
should.
faint-hearted, Fazil. I'm sure you must have something that you're doing, and JM's hand is up. JM, I'll be coming to you after hearing from Fazil. So, do you run any business back home? Do you have anything that is running remotely?
Okay, so yeah, it's quite interesting because I was running a news website.
Yes.
And this was like during COVID time and stuff like that. So the idea was I start up a news website and then I get writers from Uganda to go and cover and write up the news and stuff like that.
All right.
Yeah, so the approach was
yes, Fazil, you're there? Hello, Fazil? Hello, Fazil?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
You have gone dead. Yes, I can hear you. We can hear you now.
Sorry. Yeah, so my idea was that I get like because I knew that I would get cheaper, much cheaper writers from Uganda than over here. So they would write like news. You're in the media business. You're in the media business for quite a while. But I ran into a lot of issues. Number one, when the guys knew that definitely I wasn't, of course, on ground, like I wouldn't be, because I had even purchased laptops, at times voice recorders, as well as I was looking to setting up an office back home, just to tap into that particular market. Yes. And to have like reporters around and stuff like that. But I had to drop the business as quickly as possible because it was, kind of draining money. First and foremost, news would happen, and these guys were not literally keeping track. Like breaking, for example, if you want to break news, right? So you do not want, we want it to be like some sort of a fast source where they would come, where news would break and it's us breaking it, but not getting it from second or third parties, if that makes sense. So we had, I would like purchase internet, I purchased everything. Then at first, the only way that actually worked for me initially, it was writing per article. So I would pay around like, I think like 5,000 per article. Mm-hmm. And when we paid 5,000 per article, the work ethic was really good because these people knew that the more articles they wrote, the more money they made. Yes. So the less articles they wrote, you wouldn't get paid at the end of the day. Now that helped me to get that website up and running, and it got like there was a ranking back then. I think it was called the Alexa rank, where they would rank websites in a particular country. Yes. Like Uganda, they would say these are the most visited websites and stuff like that. And our website, of course, was going to run on the ad model, where you would get ads running, not so many ads, but a few ads. And then maybe we would get like companies to come and advertise on the site and maybe do other premium stuff. But then, of course, the problem with that approach as well, we ran into the issues of quality. Yes. Because all of a sudden, people were just pumping out...
Dumping stuff.
Exactly, dumping stuff and pumping out stuff for the sake of pumping it out, not for the sake of quality. Because it reached a time where that model would not work, and now we needed professional and brought out news, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, when that happened, somehow. And of course, like, I was paying them good money, but what I realized as I finish up is that they never took the job serious. I don't know.
It's a side hustle. So someone is dealing with something else, and
exactly.
then they feel bored.
Yeah.
Something there.
To the extent that I was even offering some people, paying them like at around 800,000 per month, right? Like you put them on a real salary. Yes. Or because I knew the site would make that money somehow, because we had thought it out and we knew it would make money. But then all of a sudden, I would see this same person going to write or work for platforms like Book a Day, where they would tell you and they come and cry to you, oh, okay, sorry to mention names here, but sorry to mention company names. Okay, they would go and write for some of these big companies, with the exception of Nation Media Group, and then cry to you, oh, these people don't pay us, these people don't look after us, we have to dip into our own pockets to look for the news, and when you take all these pieces to them, you will write all these articles, you're not given a small penny. So at the end of the day, it worked out as if it was me helping them to gather all these news, and then work like they were working for Wicked in a sense, or sorry, working for these other media companies in a sense that it was me who was facilitating it, if that makes sense. So they never took the business serious. They never saw the vision. They never understood it. So all of a sudden I was like, you know what? If it's not working, then all of a sudden we just have to shut down and, move on to the next thing. So and it's the same thing I think I've seen in most of the submissions that people have made, even in farming, that people do not see themselves at these farms in the next.
Is the lack of seriousness, Fazil. And I think that the painful thing is many of these people come in, and now there was a new guy who had just qualified from one of the agricultural institutions in Uganda, and he's a vet. When I saw him, I just thought, this is a young man. I think he can really life. So we started negotiating salary. He comes to me and he's asking for 450,000 as his starting salary. Yes, I know he's a vet. Yes, whatever. But then I haven't seen the quality of his work.
The quality of his work.
To commit to this. I say to him, I'm going to pay you 200,000 for
Mm-hmm.
3 months, which will be a probational period.
Probation, yeah.
Your performance. Once that goes, you'll hit your 450,000. Just once I'm satisfied. The person now starts making, he starts making demands when you're actually just not yet even started the job. You are not yet even delivered the job. You try to go through a few basics on how would you deal with this.
But let me ask you a question there, Mr. Kayira. Do you think the demands that he was making would be the same demands that they would be making, like maybe on those big farms, like the big name farms that you could, I don't know if you can mention names, or the likes of maybe the Rizka farmers and all these other folks?
Yes, so Murwana farms. No, they wouldn't.
Do you think they would make those demands? Why is it that they would? Why do you think they would easily make even for less than that amount of money on those farms? And yet you are paying more, but they are not willing to commit to you.
They might be working less because they hide amongst the other big teams, and they can. But they are also hoping that because the other one is a very well-established farm, there will be experience to gain. So they come in, build up on the experience. I can get paid little, and then I leave with my experience, which I can take into the next job. But the lack of seriousness, I think, in Uganda, it's really, really very painful that Uganda has a huge stock of potential human capital, but which is too lazy to deliver on work. Someone comes in and they are so passionate, they're showing you they want the work. They get in, they get the food, they know they will have medical care, the monthly salary is coming. In fact, the casual worker has almost become a better option because the casual worker comes, they will have to work. You evaluate the work. If you are not happy, they have to complete the work before they can get paid. A monthly salaried person can just sit back and play about with the days because they know at the end of the month, you've got to pay.
Do you think like an apprenticeship sort of program would be much better, where a person gets into such a role and they know that what they're getting most out of it is the skill and not more of the money?
Because do they appreciate that though? Because it would depend on the person's mindset. It's really
I think someone mentioned mindset here.
I was on a farm. I'm very good friends with a guy called Python. He runs Itungo Pastures. He's there in Nansana, but he's also bought huge land in Chiruhura. He just makes pastures. So for people who are like rearing animals in Kampala, around Wachiso, and they don't have big land, you can just go and buy like your feeds from there, grass, pastures, silage, and so on. Now, I went there and I found two beautiful girls from Makerere University in their second and third years, and they were there dipping their hands into the cow dung, like getting the cow dung to make the biogas which does the cooking there. They were getting their hands dirty, going into the grasses and so on. And I'm thinking, these are girls, they have their nails done in the evening. Once they've finished this, they'll go there and they'll have their nails. They'll sit with the other girls, but at the same time, they are coming with value. These girls now, one of them is graduating, and she's already starting work as a consultant, and I've given her my word. I've said, I know so many farmers. If anyone wants to establish pastures, because right now, if you go into farming and you don't have your own feeds, it is going to be very problematic. I gave my commitment. I said, once you graduate and you're ready, let me know. Because I've seen the kind of work you are doing. I've seen what you are capable of doing. Do not go into searching for a job. Just start a consultancy where you will establish pasture fields for people. And then you already have somewhere where you can buy the qualified seeds. You're buying pure seeds, not fake seeds, which is a big problem again in Uganda. Just get the seeds from somewhere. You don't need to have them. Someone will commission you. You just come and establish. The first job you do is the job that now will be your reference. Because anyone who will see will say, this person established this for me. And that becomes a basis. It's all in the mindset. Now, getting an apprentice that will be able to appreciate and see it that way, they're already seeing like they are losing money. They would rather sit in a trading center, play Ludo or Matatu until the until the cows come back. Fazil, I'll just bring in JM because it's pretty late.
Go ahead.
Thank
Yeah,
you
sure.
very much. Much
Thank you very much.
appreciated. And your frustrations, you're bringing in a new field that I didn't know anyone had actually ventured into the media world, the online business. But again, that's where you see the lack of seriousness. We used to have reporters from whom you'd want to get stories. It's a pain. It's amazing. Well, JM, please go ahead. Hello, JM, and Haji Kassim Narumo. So I think I see your hand is up. Oh my God, time is flying so fast. JM, go ahead. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Haj.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I was seeing JM and I was waiting for a bass voice, a Barry White sort of voice. Welcome into the conversation. How are you?
What I say, very informative topic today. But the only reason I raised my hand up was because of the sister Winnie. She got me confused. Oh Lord.
Yes. Well, I think she decided to, I think either she got a visitor or she felt offended by the question, which looked like, because I think she came in good faith with all said, because I was thinking she was trying to motivate the workers to sort of go it their way. But then, like you say, it's a red flag immediately. You
Now,
allow workers to sort of determine their own work. Let's hear your own take then on that.
No,
How do you set targets
I
for?
won't give you my personal experiences. Yes, I know you personally. If I give you my husband's name, you know me, but that's fine, alhamdulillah. But the thing is, if you're personally investing in a business, you do not tell me you're getting your workers to call the shots. How?
Mm-hmm.
What's the benefit in there? If there's no timeline, how are you going to pay them? You're making losses. You still have to pay them. You still have to finance the business. What's the end goal? Maybe she came in good faith.
Mm-hmm.
God forgive me. But I think she needs to have a plan B.
But you see, it's the very question. Once I set the question to her, because she was saying she was still starting at small scale. But this is the very time that you have to establish the discipline, the kind of work ethic. We are doing this, we have to have it within 2 weeks, we have to have it within 3 weeks. Because then once you set the target, then you allow them now to implement
Time scales. Yes.
Yes, and Anita has asked to believe it's pretty late in Uganda. I do notice. Thank you very much for those who have managed to stay on that long. Yes. So what's your experience then, Jam?
Oh, subhanallah. God help us. Uganda.
You're not bringing bad news, are you?
I won't say much, but I leave them unto Allah. That's all I can say.
No, let's hear a bit of the stories. What exactly happened? Maybe two experiences that people can take away and get lessons on how to probably avoid it, what to do.
No, there's no way of avoiding it because you're here. You need to rely on them at the end of the day. Only Allah can give you the right people. Could be your own personal
What
people.
happened?
Could be your
What
family.
happened? What exactly
It
went
could be your family. They don't maintain your properties. They don't collect the rent on time. People have been there 2 years, and you go, hang on a minute. Where's the money? You go back to Ghana and like, oi, what's wrong with the accounts? Well, so and so had issues, haven't paid for 2 years, and you're like, huh? I wouldn't stay there without paying a mortgage for 2 years. Where? You'd lose your house. Forget about paying the rent. Then you have your
Why
little
would it take up to 2 years? I mean, what sort of management system are you using as well? Would it be monthly that you're able to check whenever the money goes in? What sort of system do you have in place?
That's the problem, Kyra. When you have a good heart, people abuse it. Because initially, people come and start paying properly. Use your own people to manage the finances and everything. They go, but you know, so and so is good. They've been paying for the last 1 or 2 years, or they're having issues A, B, C, D. And you're like, okay, things happen sometimes. Before you know, it's 1 year, 2 years, and you're like, hang on a minute. I'm not running a charity. I've got bills to pay.
So how are you dealing with that now? Now, given that you've gone through that particular experience?
Oh, no, you have to all change the whole management. Forget about family, forget about siblings. You have to put a property manager, asset managers, whereby they're held accountable.
Right.
I don't care if they don't pay the money. I want the money. It's a business at the end of the day. You want to be paid? Collect the money.
Fantastic. Nice one. Thank you very much, JM. Barakallahu fikum. Thanks very much for joining. Oh my God, time is rolling. 21 minutes to 11 o'clock, and we won't go as far as 11 o'clock, I promise you. Hopefully, we should be able to wrap this up. Winnie Kido, I hope you are not offended. We were just actually trying to try to provide advice. Sometimes we have to look problems straight on to be able to address them and find lasting solutions. Honestly, this is your best moment to make an intervention, set the rules very clearly, set targets, and then see them through. Once you allow them the laxity, trying to bring them back might be difficult. Akacha mamamera, as the Baganda say, once you have a bent stick, if you try to straighten it, it will just break. Haji Namuso, salamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
It's pretty late where you are. Where do you come into this conversation? What's your experience?
I think I came in at the right time.
Yes.
With the Winnie trying to bend everybody's thinking the wrong way. In fact, I did exactly that, but I burnt my own fingers.
Oh, to tell us, because I'm sure Winnie is listening. There will be.
What happened was that I set up a farm, and I had animals, and I was also doing chicken farming on the same site. I used to live on the same site, but I personally had a lot of problems because there was no electricity. So I used to have solar, yeah? It was okay, sufficient for the light to supply light around the place, yeah? But if I wanted to use a fridge, I had problems. So I decided to relocate, me personally, my residence from the farm about a mile in town. I bought another property in town so that I stay at arm's length from the farm. Sort of to give them a leeway to do their own thing without
space for them.
They know what to do. So I'm not hands-on, I'm sort of detached. I come there to see things, how they're running. And you know what? I had problems with grass. I had nowhere to take the cows, the goats, the sheep. I told them to take them to the forest. The forest owner didn't want the cows there because they mess up their water flow system. So I said, why do they mind the cow eating the grass? They're not going to eat the grass. The grass is for the cows. But what they don't want is the cows to go there, mess the water flow systems which they have there, Miara.
Yes.
So I said, oh God, help me. And I tell you, I just sent somebody there who had cows in the same village, who uses the same forest to talk with them. I don't know what they were demanding, but eventually I kept apart, away from that talk, until the man who was talking to them gave up farming, sold his cows, relocated to about 45 miles Masaka Road. I stayed there, just told them, take the cows there, until God brought a miracle. The people who owned the forest, they had a business there, making blow, and selling it, bottling it up and selling it, blow, bushera.
Oh, yes.
So they gave up the business of bushera and sold it en masse. So they remained with the forest. They themselves rang me to say, look, we want to come to understanding about the forest, that we're not going to eat the grass, but we want you to sort of take some responsibility. I asked them, what do you want me to do? They said, you see, we have two streams in the middle of the forest. If those should be kept clear, water flowing, we have no problem you keeping the cows there. I said, that's simple. Because I send my boys there with the cows, they come with a hoe, they clear the streams. Simple. And that's what I did. So that problem was solved. Now I had a problem of the goats. You know that I've lost about 19 goats in a spate of about 3 months?
Yes.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of pain.
When we dissect the goats, we find ropes in their stomachs, ropes which we don't use on the farm, which means that these ropes have been sort of baited, brought in by somebody from outside.
Deliberately put there. Yeah.
Put salt around them so that the goats eat them. And the issue is that the village is not 17 miles. Saka Road is not very far in the village, but the mentality of the people, they don't want newcomers. They don't want you.
Where is that at Narumoso? Because is it anywhere near Bambini?
Kavle. No, Bambini is farther away. Kavle.
Yeah. Oh,
Kavle is 18 miles.
Yes.
So the people have got a very backward mentality. They don't want development.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a two-pronged sort of problem for me, because when I came there, I realized that the village didn't have a mosque. So I wanted to put their mosque. Now they say, here comes the Muslims. You see? I tell you, the village before, it used to be a Catholic village.
Yeah.
But when I came, I saw the need because I saw a few Muslims. So I said, no, we need a mosque in this place. And even though the village had been a Catholic village, and they tell you openly that Muslims don't stay here. They stay here for a month and they leave. But I think that it is these actions of feeding my goats ropes that make people leave.
Anybody.
Yeah. So I said, we are going to put here a mosque. I bought land. I gave them 40 decimals of my acre to build a mosque. And I saw that they didn't have the capacity, so I put up a temporary mosque.
Yes.
And now they say the Muslims are not going to go away. So I think that all these actions were based on that, to make us fail, to make us give up hope, yeah? But I said, no, we are not going to give up hope. I have two employees. I had two employees. Even I allowed the second one to bring his wife on the farm, because I had 3 rooms there on the farm. I said, well, to have a contented worker, he has to have his wife around him. I said, since I'm not going to pay the wife in salary, but I'm going to feed her only, yeah? Food enough for 2 is enough for 3, yeah? So I said, okay, bring your wife. I brought these workers from Tesho, mind you.
Yes.
Cow areas, so they know about cows and raising stock.
Yes.
What I realized is that what they did, giving them leeway, making their own decisions, they got other jobs for herding for other people around me, you know?
Yes.
So they don't pay attention on my stock, they pay attention on all these others they're doing. Oh, I said, oh God. This month I told them I don't have space for 2 workers because I've lost 19 goats. My stock has reduced. There's no need to have two employees who I'm paying good money, 250,000 a month. So I cut back on labor, and they said fine. So one left, went back. I'm left with one, but I'm
Is that
now
the one
going
with the
back.
wife? Is that the one with the wife?
The wife. Yes. So I am going back on hands on, you know, instead of giving them leeway, space, make their own decisions. No, I am there daily now. They know.
And it makes all the difference. Well, Winnie, I hope you are listening in, because I think some of these experiences are experiences that we come face to face. I think with a lot of these things, you really have to get in and you struggle, you suffer, you see the pain of it, and then out of it, you come out with lessons. For example, nowadays, we're sort of saying, I'm not employing someone who is not married. Reason, because I wanted someone to come with a wife, because that becomes a burden that now cannot just be thrown away very quickly for someone to just leave the farm.
Yes.
That worked for a bit, because then you would have, I even started paying school fees for some of the workers, you know, for the children. So
yes,
that, you know, you have them, you're trying to hold them down. But if someone is bad, they will just be bad. They will throw away all of that and then go to live a very miserable life. 3 months later, you find them. This person actually came onto my land. I had a huge chunks of land, and I was saying we want to clear the land slowly. Haji Narumo, so I'm not sorry for sort of interrupting, because I'm bringing these stories because I want people to pick lessons. You go through all these troubles, but then the comfort of it is once you come out of it, you come out of it an educated, learned person. You cannot suffer the pain again. You've sort of gone through the baptism. So you sort of say now, I'm going to not bring in, because you bring in young people, they come in, they receive their salary, they are in the trading center, impregnate a local girl there, in the trading center, problems now, cases start, maybe someone's daughter who passes the farm going to school, they'll give a cup of milk, the milk starts going out now to go to these prostitutes that they will have locally. You have a dilemma, you have a big problem. Someone impregnates someone's daughter, and maybe it's a pastoralist family, you are in serious trouble. They are going to come and invade your farm. So while you are innocently paying your salary and making sure things are going, this person will cause the trouble, impregnate a girl, maybe run away. And then you have to deal with the repercussions, because this is your worker. You're employing someone, but you're taking on all this entire burden. So I was looking for now people who are married, because that would help to create this. We had huge chunks of land, and therefore we're trying now to begin opening up a bit of land. And I was allowing these workers now to say, as you clear these areas, you're cutting down the trees, we are clearing the area so that it's ready for the farming. Burn the charcoal. So as you make the charcoal, of course, let's share. Take 60, 70, give me 30. I don't need so much of the charcoal, but at least I want to be able to be party to this. These guys would go, this one guy, a Musoga man with his wife and children, went and cleared about 5 acres of land. They burnt the trees, the charcoal. They made 12 million shillings, not even a sack, and disappeared from the farm, leaving the farm. There was just another worker who remained now, just to make sure he reports to me that this is what has happened.
Wow.
Thinking now someone with a family would be held down not to go. That doesn't work. You bring another system now. You go to all the police that Hafna was talking about, your report. These are all, documentations, they are there. You find one system will work in one farm, because the Bombo farm was okay with that. The Chiriandongo farm wasn't. So you see in one area, one thing works, in another area, it doesn't work. You get now to another situation where you say, I'm going to give you a piece of land so that then you can farm on it. Whatever you sell from here will be yours. You're trying to create a conducive environment that is allowing this person to try to understand, I've given you a bit of the land, you do the land, you get extra money. I spoke about a friend who, was giving 5 liters of milk to a worker every day. Every single day, 5 liters, and this man he had just a wife and a child, in which case the best they would consume is about 1.5 liters. So he was literally making about 2 million shillings annually from the extra milk that he had beyond what we had. But this was not enough. This person goes again and starts conniving with thieves to come and steal the very cows that are giving the very milk that he's making.
Exactly.
So sometimes you think you're providing a leeway, but you're creating now a conducive environment for a problem. You see how now you allowed these people to be, looking after the cows. The next thing is they are looking after the cows of the other people, because probably they are paying immediately, and they know for you are permanent, you are there, permanent and pensionable. But the other one is Kawira also, they can get that quickly, forgetting the bigger picture. Now, this is the pain with workers. A person who doesn't have a vision, is not focused to sort of see, this is where I want to be, because this is actually part of the question that I ask any of the workers that come to work for me. Important question is, what is your vision? Where do you want to be in 2-3 years? And you start seeing the sort of focus of the person. That helps. Again, you are not in someone's heart. It will work with some, it may not work with others. Haji, go ahead as we get to conclusion. I think
Yeah, now what I've done is that, okay, with the goats that I have left, and I've lost 2 calves, and the cows, so I'm going to sort of not add more, not restock yet, yeah?
Yes.
Until the mosque is finished. I want to finish the mosque because I think the idea of the villagers, they thought that if they did this to me, I would give up and lose hope, yeah? And decamp and put my sack on my back and leave. And I'm not going to give them that happiness. I'm going to speak it because I feel so happy on Friday when I see all these young kids from school coming to the mosque, a center which they didn't have before. And I feel so happy. So I'm going to prioritize the finishing of that mosque and then go back to the farm. I've got that one worker left with his wife. She's pregnant. They can't go anywhere. Back to Teso.
It's all the money for now.
so that's where I'm going to.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Kassim Narumo. So, Rukaya, I would like to hear from you. But there's one point that I think we haven't touched on, which is the neighbors. Because I think someone sent me a message here, and I'll just find the message quickly if you may allow me. But the neighbors are very critical in everything that happens. If you have bad neighbors, they can really become a pain. But neighbors are the people that see everything that goes on your farm. Your farm might be as big as I would imagine mine to be in my sense. But even as big as it is, as you fence it off, the things that are going on, like around the main gate, like when they came to steal the goats and loaded the goats, 49 goats in a row, loaded and stolen midst of COVID. And the neighbors were seeing, they knew what was happening. So later on, as you sit into separate conversations, you start seeing, we even saw when, there were these borders which would come here, there were these trucks. You start hearing now all the background information. So very important, if it is a farm, because now we are talking definitely different businesses, but if it is a farm, have your ear to the ground. Do not be this person who is coming from Buraya and you're just walking high and not greeting people. These neighbors see the things that you will never see. And if you are not good enough to them, they might never tell. It might not even be the parents. The parents sometimes are not that good. The children are fantastic. Get a child coming back from school. There's villages, in the farms. They will just be walking, have your sweets ready, have something of bakshish. Provide that and get into a conversation. The kind of stories you'll hear from these young, innocent children are unbelievable. You get a lot of information. You get the amount of detail. This person is here, says, about the theft. We had a worker who would sell the goats and then lie that they had ate kavera. Emigua jazi tuze yavuddemu olubuto. But the neighborhood was always keeping a close eye and telling me how he sells them to the butcher guys in town. These are the pains that you go through with absenteeism. If you can't get there, be there. But every time you get to your farm, try and make it, a tradition. Count. It is laborious. It will give you, like pain. Count. The moment you have the numbers and then have them tagged, there are even personalized tags. There are people now who are selling personalized tags. If not, because they come out expensively, a personalized tag is 2,500 shillings. If you can't, just buy 1,500 and then you can buy a permanent marker and just mark your animals for both cows, goats. With the chicken now, you can't have the tags, but if you wanted to be that thorough, you can still have those little wrap-ons on the feet of the chicken, and that can go into the count. That's really being so too much detail. But if it has to be done, if you do it once, you do it twice, they will know that you do the count. For people who are especially in the poultry business, do not, never allow somebody, the buyers, to come and get into the house. Well, there are times we pick up never allow that. You do the count. Stand on the door, grab the chicken, hand it over. You do the counting. Get your own person there. Maybe they're inside. As they hand you, you are in the middle there. doing the actual counting. Because what they do is they come in and create a confusion. This one is trying to talk to you. This one is pulling two chicken is taken as one. Before you know it, two chickens have gone and you're counting one. You make serious losses. There are serious losses in poultry when it comes to that. But knowing your animals matters very much. Of course, as the numbers become bigger, it becomes increasingly more difficult. But there are times when you come in, you'll throw your eye. I get onto the farm 10 minutes. I'll be able to tell you there are these animals that are not there, or this animal is missing. And that shocks the workers. That keeps them on tenterhooks. Take time to know your animals. Let your animals also know you, because quite often what they do is if you get there, goats will come to you if they know you. The cows will be there and they will feel you. They can smell you. They know you have come. But if you are the boss that just arrives and goes into the house in the farm, be ready to lose. Thank you very much. It's 11 o'clock, too late, especially in Uganda and wherever you are. I thank you very much for a very interesting conversation tonight. I hope you didn't leave the same way you came in. There are lessons. We are all constantly learning. No one is an expert, but everyone has experiences, and these experiences are critical for our own knowledge. It might not just be the farm. It could be a business. It could be your own home with the maids. We've heard from a worker's perspective and hearing what really counts to them. I think it's time to polish ourselves and get ready to be better. Thank you very much. Hope to see you next week, inshallah. This was a very fantastic program, just like many that we have had before. I thank everyone who has made the time and hope to see you next week when we come back with another interesting topic. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.